Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Talking About Balls. I am Justin George, flying the ship solo today. Shout out to Kyle and Jess Price. Kyle, obviously you guys know from the show, and his wife Jess. They lost their pet yesterday, Ace, their cat. They beloved, I think 19 years old, I believe Kyle said. Been around a long time. I mean, that's tough. It's never easy to lose a pet, especially one that you've had for, in Kyle's case, a third of his life at, almost 20 years old. So, thoughts and prayers, whatever you do out there. For me, it's just more so heartfelt. I feel for you. I completely know the feeling of losing a pet. It sucks. It's devastating. So wishing them the best. Hopefully they have a nice, time tonight together, just hanging out, the two of them, getting their mind off of things. He requested to not be a part of tonight so he can, hang out with his wife and get her mind off of it. So fully respected, fully understood, and we wish them well. So if you're out there, if you guys want to reach out to Kyle, wish him well. I'm sure you guys might have seen his wife if you're friends with them on Facebook. If you guys know us personally, she made a post yesterday about it. So give them some well wishes. But unfortunately, because I'm on daughter duty tomorrow and then it's the weekend, I didn't have time to do a show another time. So we're going to roll with the punches today. It'll be me steering the ship, flying it solo. George is going to obviously chime in once we get to picks and everything. I'll preface with I wasn't going to pester Kyle today because, again, his pet just passed away. So I don't have Kyle's picks yet. So we're going to do the pick segment, just George and myself, and I'll get Kyle's picks tomorrow or something. I'll write them all down. We'll recap next week. So I just wanted to let you guys all know what's going on. This episode is, of course, called MotorCity Meltdown because the Cleveland Browns played in Detroit on Sunday, and they had a meltdown. They looked like shit. Things went horribly wrong to the point where drastic changes were made within the organization, and we will talk about that. We're also going to talk a little bit about the Guardians. Guardians won today in their playoff series. They got to win. They split it. Rubber match tomorrow at 1 o'clock. We'll talk all about that and the rest of baseball playoffs and a little bit of update for the WNBA. WNBA finals start, I think, tomorrow or Friday. I forgot when, but the WNBA finals start. So it's exciting. Again, I'm going to try to make this show a little bit more WNBA I'll have a little bit more WNBA takes on it just because there is a team coming to Cleveland, and I'm excited. I love sports. I love basketball, whether it's men's, women's, whatever. I can fully understand that they're two different people playing the sport, so there's people that try to compare the WNBA with the NBA, and I find that to just be very stupid, if I'm being honest. They're like, oh, this is unwatchable, the blah, blah, blah. Like, the men in the NBA are some of the most athletic people in the world. The women in the WNBA are some of the most athletic women in the world, but obviously men and women in terms of like athleticism and stuff like that, it's different. Like men can dunk and jump out of the roof. Some women can dunk, some can't. The skill set's very different. It's a different game. That's why I like watching it. It's a little more cerebral when you watch the WNBA because they're a little more, it's not as high flying, and there's actually defense played in the WNBA opposed to the NBA. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then, of course, we're going to start off with a little BS because that's what we do. In a little news, I got some stories I wanted to talk about, some things that happened. For me personally, last week, pretty common week again as a dad. Thursday rolled around, hung out at the house, I was watching obviously the Guardians, and then I was watching Thursday Night Football, and then Friday night, hung out at home with the wife. I don't think we did anything off the top of my head. I don't recall. And then on Saturday, we had a day. We had a family day. We went to the Medina Fall Festival, even though it was 100 degrees outside. Interesting to have a fall festival, but, can't control the weather. Normally, it's not this hot out. So we did that. That was a good time. Went down there with Teddy and Tara. Had a fun time walking around Medina, sweating a little bit, and looking at some fall decor. Sorry, I'm just sharing the show. Give me a second here. And then we came home, hung out for a little bit. Then we went to Triple G, Guardian guy Greg. We went to his house. He had his Oktoberfest party. That was a great time. Thank you for having us, Greg. Really enjoyed it. The food was awesome. The company was awesome. Wish I could have spent more time with everybody, but now that I have a kid who's mobile, she's running around all over the place, and that is my daily life when she is roaming free. It's all about just containing the child. So that's adult parenting. Then Sunday rolled around. Well, I take it back. Saturday night, came home, and we put Teddy to bed. And then Tara and I went outside, sat in the hot tub, watched the Guardians clinch the division that happened on Saturday night with the hit by pitch for CJ Kafis. And then we Watched an episode of, what did we watch? Peacemaker, maybe? I don't remember what we watched. We watched something. Or no, we watched the movie Black Phone. That's right. Classic movie. I like that one. The sequel's coming out, so it kind of got me in the mood to watch the second or the original. And then Sunday rolls around, got up bright and early, woke up, watched Sunday morning football from Ireland. The Steelers played the Vikings, and then spent my day with my daughter and watched football all day on Sunday. So that was my weekend. This week, nothing. Typical week. Work, come home, work, come home. That's life. So that's pretty much it for the BS segment for me. It's pretty boring. I don't have much of a life anymore, so that's the best you're going to get. However, there's some news that I wanted to talk about because, again, I like to stay up on current events and, make your own decisions, make your own opinions. I don't care. I'm not trying to – I've come to the realization that discussing anything, whether it's political, whatever, even just opinion-based, anything you feel, there's no point in trying to convince people your beliefs. Some people are just set in their ways and they have their thoughts, and that's that. So the picture that George is showing here is, I forgot how to pronounce it, the Riyadh? Let me just look it up. Saudi Arabia. So it's the Saudi Arabia, Saudi, however you say it, Saudi Arabia comedy thing. Let me look it up. Comedy festival. Yeah, what's it called? Yeah, Riyadh. So it's the comedy festival in Riyadh. It is a huge named bill. The interesting thing is it is being hosted and being funded by the leader or the head of Saudi Arabia's entertainment industry, whatever. For those of you that don't know, Saudi Arabia is known for, if you badmouth them, they will kill you. If you are even an American journalist, you get tortured and chopped up into pieces, which happened to a journalist. I forgot his name off the top of my head, but I'm sure you can Google it. For being outspoken of Saudi Arabia and their leadership. But the head of the entertainment industry, again, there's been dirty deals worked out with Live Golf. There's been dirty deals worked out with even as recently as Tom Brady with that flag football tournament where they're paying. There's reports that Tom Brady's getting $75 million to be an ambassador for this thing, and he kind of danced around the question when asked if that's how much he's actually getting paid to endorse this. He refused to answer it truthfully, which makes you believe no answer is just as good as an answer. So he is getting, again, they have money to burn. They have a ton of it, and they are just pissing it away on people. So they decided to try to get a comedy festival over there, and they got some of the biggest names in comedy. As you can see from the pictures there, there's Pete Davidson, who the craziest part about Pete Davidson is his father. So for those of you who don't know, some of the pilots, or I don't want to say pilots, I'm sorry, that's a bad word, bad way to put it. Some of the terrorists that flew the planes on 9/11 were Saudi Arabians, and they did 9/11. They knocked the towers down. They killed thousands of Americans, and one of the people that died in the New York building, the Twin Tower collapse, was Pete Davidson's father, who was a New York firefighter at the time. He died at 9/11 because of the Saudis that flew the plane, I'm sorry to laugh, into the Twin Towers. And he is taking their dirty blood money to go perform at their comedy festival, where I'm sure there are strict rules on things you cannot joke about, or you will be imprisoned or murdered or whatever. And it's no joke. This isn't like a fucking haha, like go over there and I'm going to say whatever I want, because what can they do? They will kill you. Pete Davidson's going to go take their money, which I'm torn. Some of my favorite comedians of all time, as you can see, 2 out of the 3 here. I don't like Pete Davidson personally, so him going over there, it's just weird morally because of his dad. But Dave Chappelle, one of my favorite comedians of all time, top 5. Louis C.K. on the right there. Literally, and say what you want, I know people are always bringing up the jerking off in front of people thing that he did. Say what you will, it's weird, but it wasn't illegal. He wasn't a Me Too guy because he asked them, hey, can I jack off in front of you? The women said, yeah, thinking he was joking. Maybe they were nervous, intimidated, not by him, but like they thought like, oh, he's famous. He's, wealthy, blah, blah, blah. I'll just appease him. Whatever the case may be, they said yes. So he did it. And then after the fact, they were like, oh, well, he did that. But he asked. He didn't just whip it out. If he just whipped it out and started jerking off in front of you and doing weird shit, totally fair for you to throw a fit about it. If you say yes and have buyer's remorse later, not his fault. Sorry. And I'm not trying to victim blame because I like him. This is just a fact. I would say the same. It's the same thing I said for Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson was accused of all these sexual assaults. But the evidence kind of hinted at these girls being like, guess who I just got to, massage, and guess who did this? I can't wait to work with him again. He was so, whatever. And then after the fact, they're all like, oh no, he did this. I didn't like it. Buyer's remorse. If you flat out said, do not do this, and he did that, that's sexual assault. That is a crime. Yes, lock him up. If you say yes to something and then afterwards you regret it, live with your consequences. That's how life works. But anyway, I digress. Getting back to the task at hand, there is a huge comedy festival happening that people are talking about, and this isn't the first big thing to happen over there. As I was saying earlier, there's Live Golf. There's the flag football competition that's happening, where the NFL basically came out and said any player that willingly goes over there, they're on their own. If you get hurt, fuck you. Your contract isn't being honored. That's your fault. Sorry, I'm drinking an Aperol Spritz. Busch Light, Aperol, a little bit of lemon juice. Classy, delicious, tasty. And the WWE has signed or done multiple shows over in Saudi Arabia where there are strict rules. Women have to be covered up from like the fucking neck down. So you see these women in the WWE when they're on Monday Night Raw, in America, they're out there with like, their butt cheeks hanging out and, basically in a bra and underwear. And over there, they have to wear full suits, basically. Just only their faces can be out because that's the rule. That's women aren't allowed to expose their skin. That's a weird, barbaric rule that they have over there that's stuck in the Stone Age. But whatever, that's not America. If that's how they want to live over there, I don't agree with it. But whatever, not my place. But yeah, so the WWE has gone over there and taken a lot of blood money, dirty money to go perform. And there's been a lot of hypocrites with that. CM Punk was a huge guy against it, and he talked shit about Triple H taking their dirty money and whatever, and then bent the knee, and then was like, oh no, I love it, and went over there and performed. So money talks, and I get it. I'm not going to knock somebody else for taking money, whether it's from dirty Saudis. I don't mean that as like a racist thing. I just meant like dirty money. Sorry, blood money. Or if it's from, whatever. I mean, most people in America, you could probably get hired. These guys could go work at someone's birthday of a guy who's a piece of shit, but it just is what it is. But yeah, I'm kind of indifferent because comedy is about free speech. Comedy is about, that was my big thing with the Jimmy Kimmel situation, which we talked about to more than enough. But these comedians a lot of them were very big advocates of free speech, and they were, some of these guys. I mean, I think Theo Von's there. The list is crazy. If you get a chance, Google it, look it up. I'm not going to read you everybody, but excuse me, a few names here that are of note. Aziz Ansari, Wayne Brady, Hannibal Buress, Bill Burr is a big one that people are like, Jimmy Carr, Dave Chappelle, Louis C.K., Whitney Cummings, Pete Davidson, Kevin Hart, Gabriel Iglesias, Jim Jeffries, Bobby Lee, Sebastian Maniscalco, Sam Morrill, Mark Norman, Russell Peters, Jeff Ross, Andrew Santino, Tom Segura, Chris Tucker, Tim Dillon was originally, he accepted their money, and then he decided to talk about on his podcast about the slavery in Saudi Arabia, and he got booted from it, essentially. So a lot of these people are taking a ton of money, and again, it's just blood money. You're getting it from a very bad group of people, and the Pete Davidson one is the weirdest one, but the other people, like Bill Burr, stands for freedom of speech and democracy, and he's very against the current regime in America, and they're bullshit because of politics, and then he's going to go take money at this Riyadh, however you pronounce it, comedy festival. It's just weird. It's a weird stance. There's a lot of comedians speaking out about it that are basically saying, like, you can never fucking talk about free speech again. I think I could have swore Theo Von was on the list, but I don't remember seeing his name. Did I overlook him? I don't know. Maybe I did. Anyway, tons of comedians. If you get a chance, again, there's a lot of fucking people on this list. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe Theo's not on it. Okay. Either way, a lot of huge names, though. Again, if you get a chance to look it up, it's fucking nuts. There are so many people that are going to be there, and people that you're kind of like, not the guy that I thought would take the money. some people I could understand. Pete Davidson doesn't make any sense to me. Dave Chappelle, I feel like he's got more than enough money, so him going over there. And again, I don't know. What's in the contract, because if Dave Chappelle thinks he can go over there and say whatever the fuck he wants, I think he's got another thing coming, which is dangerous. Because again, this isn't a joke. This isn't like, hey, we're just going to take you off the stage and make you go home. This is, you're going to get thrown in jail and probably murdered. Louis C.K. taking it, I kind of get. He was the biggest thing in comedy for a while, and then he obviously had his Me Too moment. And he got taken off the pedestal and he lost millions. I mean, he was the biggest. He was truly the biggest thing. He could make any movie he wanted, any project he wanted to do. He was going to get a green light and going to get a ton of money for it. All that came to a halt. He lost a ton of money. He wasn't able to work for years. He's just now getting back out there doing comedy or touring. He has been for a couple of years, but like, that's really all he can do. He can't go work in a movie or make a TV show like he did before. So him taking this, okay, it's probably more money than he's going to make all year touring. So it's a one-shot deal. You go perform once, and you're getting a ton of fucking money, and you're gone. You're done. You go home. Again, it's just weird. It's a weird place because this is a bad group. I know this current regime is taking money from them and making a lot of deals with them behind the scenes in America, but doesn't sit right. It's a bad place. They do some bad shit. So people should be a little more concerned about that. But again, I'm not even trying to make this political. It's just weird that this is a very bad place where people get murdered and, very censored over there. So these comedians that are, advocates for free speech are going to perform in a place that's heavily censored, where if you get out of line, you're killed. America, it's bad. Jimmy Kimmel, quote unquote, got out of line, so the FCC took him off the air for a week. There, you get out of line, you get chopped up in 1,000 pieces. So very different. But I digress. It's going to happen. It's very strange. It's just weird, the hypocrisy from some of these people, like Whitney Cummings, for instance. When the Charlie Kirk assassination happened, Whitney Cummings was blowing up her Twitter feed with these, there's no room for this violence and blah, blah, blah. But then she's going to go do this comedy festival in a place where there's a ton of violence for people that speak their mind. Which is it? Pick a fucking lane. That's what's hypocritical about this whole situation. And again, it's not going to change anybody's mind. There's a lot of comedians that are speaking out about it that said they were offered a ton of money. Shane Gillis, for instance, he said he was offered more money than he'd ever seen for one show. Turned it down out of principle because it's a bad place. Tim Dillon took the money at first, came on there, and he was honest. He's like, I don't give a fuck who it's from. He's like, this is money for my family. Like, this is more money than I've ever gotten for any one show, so I'm going to take it. And then he was still just honest on his show. They took him off the bill because he spoke out of line. Luckily, he didn't do it over there because he would have gotten killed. But yeah, just very strange. There's a ton. David Cross, if you're familiar with him, he was Tobias Funke from Arrested Development. He's been in a ton of stuff. I'm sure you know David Cross if you saw him. He had a long thing. Mark Maron's been very open about it. Mark Maron, I think, is an advocate right now for comedy. In the best way possible. He quit his podcast. He said he's done. He's had enough. He's just sticking to comedy. He's kind of doing tour. He's getting out there, though, promoting things. He had a special on HBO, which I'm not a huge Mark Maron fan in terms of comedy. I think he's entertaining to listen to. I did like his TV show that was on IFC. His stand-up for me is good. I mean, he's fine. It's not one that, he's not one of my favorite comics. Just not for me, though, but nothing against him. But he's been very outspoken about this whole situation. And I'll quickly read a little bit. I want to find that David Cross post really quickly, so bear with me here as I look it up. David Cross. So he posted, and again, here is, you got to kind of zoom in. It's a very zoomed in thing. He said, okay, a lot of people have asked me, what do I think about this? He said, what do I think? I'm disgusted, deeply disappointed in this whole gross thing. People I admire with unarguable talent will condone the I can't say that word. Why can't I say that? Total. I can't say it. I can't read it either. Huh?
Totalitarian?
No, it's total. I can't read it. That's the problem. It's so fucking small. Totalitarian. That's it. I had to zoom in. Totalitarian fiefdom for what? A fourth house, a boat, more sneakers. This thing's so fucking small. I'm not kidding. If you look up his Instagram post, it's the smallest thing you'll ever fucking see. We can never again take seriously anything these comedians complain about unless it's complaining that we don't support enough torture and mass execution of journalists and LGBTQ peace activists here in the States, or that we don't terrorize enough Americans by flying planes into our buildings. So he went off on these comedians. It was really funny. Mark Maron did the same thing. Mark Maron was basically like, hey, from the guys that brought you 9/11, here's this comedy festival. It's very fucking funny. And again, I like the guys that are speaking out about it because it is really fucked up that these people would take this money. But again, I see it both sides. If I were offered a ton of life-changing money like that, I'd be like, you know what, whatever. If I don't take it, somebody's going to take it. I've always thought that. It's the same thing with, obviously it's not apples and oranges, or apples to apples, I should say. But Deshaun Watson got that huge contract from the Browns. People were like, fuck him, he's a piece of shit. Who's turning that money down? Who out there is going to turn down $250 million that they're handed cash? Nobody. Don't be a fucking idiot. If the Browns didn't give it to him, he was going to get that money from somebody else. So what's the difference? But for this comedy festival, it's just weird. Again, Saudi Arabia is really infiltrating America. They've been cutting deals behind the scenes with, Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. He's been given basically like over $2 billion for things, and people are asking Trump about that. Or what's her name? Pam, is it Levitt? Pam Bondi? Whoever the fuck the lady is. I don't know their name. I don't know. They were doing one of the daily press conferences from the White House because, of course, we need to hear daily quotes about shit. But one of the questions today was asked about Saudi Arabia and their contributions toward Jared Kushner, $2.5 billion, whatever the fuck. And they were basically like, oh, that's disgusting that you would ask about that. So they're dancing around the question because they know something's dirty going on, but whatever. I digress again. To some, I'm not trying to change anyone's opinion. To some, Trump can do no wrong and his whole regime can do no wrong. So him getting all this blood money from the Saudis, they go, nothing to see here because we were told not to care. So he was given a bunch of blood money from them. They're cutting deals behind the scenes. And then in other news, speaking of Saudi Arabia, we can't get away from them. They purchased EA Sports. So next year we have 9/11/26. You get NCAA football, you get Madden, and you get Terrorism 26. It's going to be a fun game. You get to you're a hijacker. You fly planes into shit. It's going to be awesome. Suicide bombing graphics are super realistic. It's going to be fantastic. And there's side quests you can do where you build shoe bombs. It's fucking awesome. It's going to be so fun. But they purchased EA Sports, Electronic Arts, the game you've played your whole life, for EA Sports. It's in the game. Now Saudi Arabia owns it. So if they made a game that you loved that featured any type of questionable character that wasn't a straight man, probably not going to be included in games moving forward because it's kind of against their thing. So really fucking weird stuff happening in the world. Shame on EA for selling to Saudi Arabia, and we're just in a weird place. I don't like it. I don't like the state of the country. I don't like where we're at. Everything's kind of an embarrassment. But I mean, what did Trump say the other day? It's a new American motto. Nothing bad can happen. Only good happen. Or what did he say? You'd have to look it up. It was the dumbest quote I ever heard. What did he say? Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen. That's what he said. Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen. He said that he's a, 70, 80-year-old man, and that's how he talks. And then the other day, he also said another quote that, I kind of want to put on a t-shirt. He said, smart people don't like me. Verbatim. I'm not misquoting. He literally looked at a crowd and said, smart people don't like me. Speaks for itself. All right, that's going to do it for the BS segment and a little bit of news. If you guys are interested, look that stuff up yourself. It's kind of fucked up if you're not familiar with how dirty it is over there in Saudi Arabia and how fucked up everything is. Feel free to take a look. But on a brighter note, where they're not chopping people's heads off, they're just winning baseball games by having an offensive explosion in the 8th inning. The Cleveland Guardians are tied 1-1 in their 3-game best-of-3 series against the Detroit Tigers in the wild card round. Guardians won the AL Central Division, as you can see there, 2025 champions. I'll be the first to admit, egg on my face, I projected them in the beginning of the season to finish in 4th place. I thought it would be Detroit, Kansas City, or Minnesota, and then the Guardians. I thought we'd be 4th place. It was looking that way for a while. I was right. I counted them out. We had episodes. We had their funeral. George, can you stop the belch scroll? I haven't belched in a while. Just saying. I might now, though, because I just took a sip. But The Guardians, I counted them out a long time ago. They were dead in the water. I didn't think they had any chance of life. And they fooled me. They went on a crazy winning streak. I'm sure all of you know they had a great month of September. They were the hottest team in baseball. They went like 20-7 or something like that. All of that is great. It also took an epic collapse from the Detroit Tigers. The Guardians have successfully completed the biggest comeback to win a division in Major League Baseball history with a 15.5 game deficit. Came back, won the division. Take that back. They won the division on Sunday when the Tigers lost. I was going to say they had a game to go, but Saturday night they just clinched a playoff spot. Sunday was the division clinch because Detroit lost to Boston. But great comeback. It was awesome. As you guys know, the Guardians team is made up of a bunch of fucking garbage, truthfully, and I mean that all with all due respect. There are some decent players on this team. Obviously, you have Jose Ramirez, cream of the crop. Stephen Kwan, great hitter, except for the playoffs for some reason. He's been in a horrible slump, and that's not great. Everybody else, it's crapshoot. It's a crapshoot. On any given day, you're looking for a hero. I'm looking for a hero for till the end of the night, or however that song goes. Holding on to a hero. That's the whatever. You guys know what I'm talking about. Their pitching staff has been dynamic. You started off the year with Tanner Bybee was supposed to be your ace, and then you had some other guys where you're like, let's see what they do. Gavin Williams has turned into one of the best pitchers in baseball. The only problem is that he has Scott Boras as his agent, which means there's going to be probably no hometown discount, so the Guardians are probably not going to be able to retain him. I think he's got 4 more years of control for the team, which is great, but I don't think we're getting that Shane Bieber, Jose Ramirez discount that some of the guys have signed before. Again, I didn't see this coming. I counted them out a long time ago. They went on they had a 10-game losing streak in July, June. Then they had a 1-9 stretch. So they almost had 2 10-game losing streaks in one season, and they still managed to come out and win the division. Obviously, that speaks more on, again, the Tigers' epic collapse. If the Tigers just swept one fucking series in the middle of all that, different conversation right now. But they didn't. Guardians won the Central Division. They still could have made the playoffs. They would have still they would have either gotten the wild card or the division. So they were if whatever they did would have gotten them into the playoffs, but the Astros also sucked at the end. So did the Texas Rangers. But they made it in. Yesterday, Tarek Skubal pitched a gem. He had like 14 strikeouts through 105 pitches, went into like the fucking 7th inning. He had just a gem of a performance. Couldn't ask for a better game. They ended up winning 2-1, but again, they needed a historic, almost godlike performance from Tarek Skubal just to win a game 2-1. And it did not come easy. The Guardians had a lot of blunders. They had the Rodriguez bobbled the fucking first hit of the game in right field, led to an unearned run right away. 1-0 Detroit because of a fuck up in the outfield on an easy, just routine base hit. You just scoop it up. He fucking botched it. Then later in the game, you had a guy on first, I think, and you had John Kenzie Noel who slid off of the base, let a guy get to third. They scored that run 2-1 because they did a suicide squeeze. 2-1 was the final. Guardians got their 1 run because of Martinez went from second on an infield hit all the way home. They challenged it. He was safe. Then in the bottom of the 9th, this was unacceptable. This, to me, I was pissed off for the last 24 hours. Honestly, I'm not going to lie. Jose Ramirez, ground out, should have been. They throw the ball into the outfield. Jose gets to third. Hustle play. No outs. Bottom of the 9th. Again, 2-1. He's on third. No outs. Next batter. They pinch hit George Valera. What does George Valera do? Strikes out. Doesn't even put the ball in play. Okay. Jose stuck it at second. Next batter. I forgot who was batting at this point because they brought Schneemann in to pinch run later, so it wasn't Schneemann. I don't remember who they had pinch hit, or maybe it wasn't even a pinch hitter. I don't remember. No, I think it was Manzardo, actually. So Manzardo didn't get pinch hit. It was just Manzardo. He chopped it to the pitcher. Jose was running on contact. Jose gets thrown out at home. And Manzardo's on first. They then put in Schneemann to run for Manzardo, which after talking with Guardian guy Greg, and I completely agree, I had the same thought. Daniel Schneemann should have been the pinch hitter instead of George Valera. Hindsight's always 20/20, but I would have trusted Daniel Schneemann to give more contact on the ball than a rookie. That's just me. But they didn't do that. So Kyle Manzardo dribbles one to the pitcher. Jose Ramirez out at home trying to tie the game up. Manzardo safe at first. They pinch run him for Petey Halpin, and then they pinch hit CJ Kafis, who pops out. Game over. So Guardians lose 2-1. But again, it took it took 2 errors from the Guardians for Detroit to win that game. So it's not like they did anything great. The only problem is, again, the errors kicked the Guardians in the ass. And again, the Guardians came in with a historically bad offense. Their batting average is one of the worst to ever make the playoffs. Their run differential is the worst in the playoffs by far. They should not have made the playoffs, truthfully. If you look at their numbers from top to bottom and you look at where they rank aside from pitching, which was fantastic, offensively, they're one of the worst teams in baseball. They're like the 28th ranked offensive team or something like that. It's terrible. But they made the playoffs. They won a division. And they also won a playoff game now. And it's all on tomorrow. Jack Flaherty, who's been pretty up or down for the most part this season, against Slade Ciccone. Game's at 1 o'clock. Rubber match. Winner moves on. Loser, season's over. In Cleveland, we'll see what happens there. I'm excited for it. I will admit, I'm going to be bummed if they lose. Don't get me wrong. I'm prefacing with that. The only problem, though, is I'm so convinced that this offense is just, it's bad. It's so bad that I can't trust them to keep up with any of these other teams. I mean, let's say hypothetically they win this division or this round. You go to Seattle. Seattle is a pretty good offense. They have Cal Raleigh, who hit 60 home runs this year. They've got Julio Rodriguez. They've got some fucking talent. They have Josh Naylor there now. They've got a lot of really good hitters. Their pitching staff's really good. I mean, I think it was projected to be a little bit better, but it was still very good. Obviously, they won the West, so they're a good baseball team. They're the 2 seed. But do I think they can keep up with them offensively? I really don't. I think our pitchers can do a decent job, but if you give up, I was telling my buddy at work yesterday, we were talking about that game, and I said, you're facing Tarek Skubal. If you give up 2 or 3 runs, you might be kind of fucked. It's because you're not going to score a lot against him. Sure enough, 2-1 was the final. It was inevitable. I'm not saying, there were a couple of managerial decisions that I think could have turned some things around and a couple defensive plays. If you had different players out there, those errors wouldn't have happened. Obviously, even today started off a little questionable when, what's his name? Chase DeLauder, the coveted rookie, finally gets called up to the big leagues for the playoffs. Gets his first career action starting in center field. The guy hadn't played in months. He'd been hurt. He's got a pretty good injury history. Gets called up for the big leagues to be on the postseason roster, and he got a start today in center field. And that shows you where we were at as a team, where they were like, fuck it, we got to try to get a boost out of this kid. I think he had 2 walks today, too, so kudos to him for 2 very good at-bats. And then he hit one to the center fielder, which was actually a fucking great hit. Good shot off the bat, but right to the center fielder. But yeah, so he gets called up. So that's how desperate they are. They made it to win the division, to get into the playoffs, and then play a playoff game, and they go, all right, time to bring in a guy who's literally never played for us before. That shows you the desperation of this offense, which is where I'm kind of at with my mentality of, I'm going to be bummed. I don't like when any Cleveland team loses. I want to preface with that. I say that a lot. I hate losing more than I like winning. So yes, I'm going to be pissed tomorrow at 4:30, whatever, if the Guardians lose that game. But if they win, I'm going to go into the Seattle series excited, happy as hell, but a little nervous, just because I don't know how well this offense can keep up, and that's what cost us last year against the Yankees. We just didn't have the firepower to keep up with a team like the Yankees. I don't even know where they stand right now. I got to check some scores, but I know there's other games going on. I stopped watching after the Guardians game. I was hanging out with the family. So, okay, we got 3-3 Yankees-Red Sox in the middle of the 6th, and we had the Padres and Cubs playing their game 2 today. Might help if I don't click NFL scores, huh? Padres win 3-0. That series is tied 1-1. Boston ended up winning last night. They are up 1-0 over the Yankees. So if the Yankees lose today, their season's over. But again, Boston's a really good team. Garrett Crochet is one of the best pitchers in baseball. He's a legit Cy Young candidate. I guess he's only one, but they also have some other good pitchers. For some reason, I'm drawing a blank. I swear to God, I know their pitching staff. I'm drawing a blank. But the Red Sox are a good team. The Blue Jays are a good team. These teams are not going to be easy for the Guardians to keep up with. And then if, God forbid, they make it to the World Series, again, knock on wood, hypothetical here. If they make it to the World Series, you're facing any of the above. You're facing the Padres. You're facing the Brewers. I don't know about the Brewers. But the Dodgers, for fuck's sake. These teams are fantastic. They're really good. Can the Guardians, Yes, they did it all year. I get it. They're in the playoffs. They're an above 500 team. I don't understand how they managed to win. Yes, their pitching is fantastic right now, but they find ways to win. I'm just not confident that it's championship level. So no joking allowed, no personality allowed. Okay, I got a response from Josina Anderson. So we'll talk about that. That's actually funny. I just got a response from Josina Anderson on Twitter. We'll talk about that, all of that and more in a minute. But yeah, shout out to the Guardians. I'm pumped. 1-1 series, rubber match tomorrow. Win or go home. All right. Now it's time for the Browns. This episode is called MotorCity Meltdown because of their game against the Lions, which, again, everybody expected them to get their asses kicked. The funniest thing for me was Monday morning. The Monday morning reaction from Browns fans is nuts. They are livid at the game. And they're like, fire everybody, bench this guy, fire this guy, trade this guy. Everybody needs to go because you lost to the Lions, who, I don't know, for those of you that don't know this, are one of the best teams in football. They are a Super Bowl favorite. I picked them to go to the Super Bowl this year to face the Buffalo Bills. Kind of shows you where my mindset is with the two teams. The Browns, on the other hand, I project to have a top 10 draft pick to take a quarterback because they're building for the future. They're in a rebuild stage. They stink. Not surprising that they lost 34-10. How they lost? Annoying. We watched Joe Flacco make two boneheaded throws, fumble, a punt return touchdown, which was caused because of a huge drop from Jerry Jeudy. Again, stop me if you've heard that before. But a key drop from Jerry Jeudy led the team to have to punt. The team punts. The players kind of look like they don't give a fuck. And it gets returned for a touchdown from, I think it was Josh Reynolds, if I'm not mistaken. Ugly game. Defense played really well. At the beginning of the game, it was close. I texted my buddy before the game started. I was dead on. I said, this game's going to look close for a little bit, maybe up until halftime. It's going to seem manageable. And then the Browns defense is going to get tired because the offense isn't going to do shit. And it's going to be a blowout. Sure enough, 34-10 for those of you keeping score at home. Ugly game. And again, nothing I did not expect. But changes have been made. Kevin Stefanski officially announced today that Dylan Gabriel is your starting quarterback on Sunday in jolly old England for a 9:30 start against the Minnesota Vikings. Dylan Gabriel will be making his first career start. It won't be his first action because he did come in against the Ravens and threw a touchdown. And he played a couple snaps against the Lions where he went 0 for 1 and they ran the ball 3 times or twice, whatever. So Dylan Gabriel will be getting the start. Let me preface, there's a lot of miscommunication going on out there. There is a weird thing happening, and that's the reason for that Josiah Anderson tweet to me. There are Shedeur Sanders fans, and then there are Browns fans. The two things are not the same. There are Shedeur fans who aren't actually Browns fans. They just want to see Shedeur play, so they don't give a fuck about the Browns. They are actively rooting against Dylan Gabriel. They have been actively for months saying that the Browns should just cut Shedeur. If you're not going to play him, just cut him, because that's what teams do. If you have a guy on your bench, you should just cut him, because who needs a bench? Fucking idiots that don't understand football. That's what these people are saying. But they're legitimately saying the Browns should release him. If you're not going to play him, why do you have him? What a waste. And then today. So there was a moment that happened earlier in the week. Rex Ryan came out and basically said Shedeur Sanders needs to just shut his mouth. He needs to get up in the front row. He needs to study. He needs to watch the tape. And he was interviewed today. Well, he was interviewed the other day. I should start with that. He was interviewed the other day, and they asked him about, his playing time or whatever. And he said something about, I think I could start, I think I could play somewhere else in the league. He wasn't saying he wants a trade. He was just saying that he could see himself. He thinks he's better than some of the other quarterbacks in the NFL that are starting right now, is all he was kind of saying. Whatever. If that's what you want to say, that's fair. You weren't drafted by 32 teams multiple times for a reason, bud. So he's out there. Again, he says all this dumb shit. And then today he gets interviewed in the locker room. They ask him probably, I don't remember what the question was, but it was something along the lines of like, what are your thoughts on Dylan Gabriel being named starter? PR 101, super fucking easy answer. You say, I'm happy for him, and I look forward to helping him and this team do whatever it takes to win. That's all you say. Next question. Done. How fucking hard was that? How hard was that? It took me 2 seconds to say it. It was a good answer. It was a respectable answer for your team. Done. Here's what he actually did. George, roll the tape. Don't adjust your volume. This is the actual thing. He mimed that he was talking instead of actually saying words. That's literally what he did. The reporters are asking him actual questions. He is mouthing nothing. He's trying to be funny, this and that. Your teammate just got promoted today. Big news, where you could act like a good teammate and just say, hey, I'm happy for him. That's what Joe Flacco did. They asked Joe Flacco straight up, Joe, how does it feel to get benched, basically? And he said, kind of shocking, but, I understand that that's what we're doing here for the team, blah, blah, blah. Good professional answer. They asked Dillon Gabriel, Dillon, what are your thoughts on being starter, blah, blah, blah. He just said, one of the questions they asked him, which, again, people are trying to turn everything into a Shador-Gabriel fight. They asked him, they said, how do you feel about being the starter this early into your career? And he just said, well, if you wait for the perfect opportunity, you might wait your whole life for it. So I'm ready to go. I'm always ready to go. Great answer. There are legitimately people trying to say that was a jab at Shador Sanders. How? Hey, how do you feel about starting this early in your career? I feel like I'm ready. If you wait around to be ready, then you'll never get your opportunity, or whatever you said. And people are like, oh, that was right at Shador. What? That was just a good answer. That's PR 101. Again, I've tried to tell people I don't expect Dillon Gabriel to light the world on fire. I think he's going to be a good, serviceable backup quarterback. I think he can come in and win you a game or two if your quarterback gets hurt. I think he's a genius. I think he can read a defense really well. That's one of the main reasons he was drafted this early and by the Browns. The Browns view him as a career backup, which is a very important position. I know other people don't want to hear that. They go, ooh, why would you take him in the third round? Look at the NFL. There was damn near a third of the teams starting, a quarter of the teams, I should say. A quarter of the teams were starting backup quarterbacks already by week 3. So Tyrod Taylor was starting. Mac Jones was starting. Marcus Mariota was starting. Just off the top of my head, Jake Browning is starting. There are backup quarterbacks all over the fucking NFL that we're already having to start. So backup quarterback is an important position. The Browns like Dillon Gabriel. They think he could be a good backup for presumably whoever they bring in next year to be the franchise quarterback. I've said that all along. I've been telling people this is their plan forever. Yes, he was a third-round pick. People are like, oh, you can't waste a third-round pick. Please, off the top of your head, tell me 5 third-round picks that are great football players. Off the top of your head. There are some. I'm not saying it's an anomaly. It doesn't happen, but it's an anomaly. Same thing with the Shador Sanders thing. There are people that are going, oh, if you're not going to play him, you should just cut him. He was a 5th-round pick. 5th-round picks don't really play a lot. 5th-round picks just practice, and they stay in the background, and if guys get hurt, they come in and play, and they develop, and if they don't develop, they get released in a couple years. Pretty simple. That's how the NFL works. So people that think Shador Sanders should just instantly be the starter because his last name's Sanders, stupid take. But then he goes and does that bullshit today, which, again, he's trying to take the spotlight off his teammate, and he's doing dumb, boneheaded things, which everyone says he has character issues. He's not a great teammate, and I won't say he's not a great teammate. He character issues because he's kind of a me guy. There were reports before the draft started that he's telling teams, I'm not meeting with you. There were reports that came out that he told Philly and Baltimore, don't draft me because I don't want to play there and be a backup. You're a 5th-round pick, dude. The fuck do you think's going to happen? He wanted to come to Cleveland because he thinks he might get to start a little sooner. That's fair. But when you're not, shut up and do your fucking job. And this goes for anybody. I'm a Browns fan. If Dillon Gabriel stinks and the Browns think Shador's ready to play and they play him and he plays great, awesome. I'm fucking happy. I'm a Browns fan. Why wouldn't I want that? Do I think it's going to happen? No. I didn't like Shador when the draft started. It had nothing to do with his personality, whatever. I watch the tape. I watch football. I watch a ton of it. I watch quarterbacks. I hated this year's quarterback class. I didn't like Cam Ward. I didn't like Shador. I didn't like Jackson Dart. I don't give a shit about what's the kid that won Ohio State the championship? Will Howard. Cool. You won a championship in college. That's great. When you go to the pros, I don't think his skill set translates. Same thing with Dillon Gabriel. I knew Dillon Gabriel. I thought he had a decent arm. It's not a cannon. He's quick. He's mobile, but he is 5'11". That's short for NFL standards. I fully understand that. He had tall offensive linemen at Georgia or at Oregon, though, that he could see over and throw the ball over. So I'm not too concerned about that. I think he'll, kind of figure it out. I think his arm is a good arm for this offense that we run. It's just quick timing routes. Baker did that a lot when he was with Cleveland. Quick slants, things like that. I feel like we're going to have a lot of those. And I'm okay with that because, again, I think Dillon Gabriel's playing the rest of the season to kind of show you that he's going to be a career backup. I don't think he's going to light the world on fire. I'm not expecting Dillon Gabriel to come in and play like Baker did when Baker came in against the Jets in 2018? I don't remember. 2018 maybe? I'm not expecting that. Dillon Gabriel was a third-round pick. Dillon Gabriel, if you want to say it, that's fine. People were like, "Ooh, he was supposed to be drafted on day 3," or whatever. That's fine if that's what you think. I don't know. I've seen mixed reviews. I saw some people that had him as like a day 2 pick, and I saw guys that had him as a day 3 pick. Whatever. Browns took him late-ish in the 3rd round. Not the end of the world. So whatever. They view him as a smart guy. I think he will eventually be an offensive coordinator or a head coach even in football in the future. I think he has a long career ahead of him if he can stay healthy and be a backup, whether that's in Cleveland for a long time or he goes somewhere else, whatever. I think he's a good football player, a smart football player. Same thing with Sanders. Sanders had some shine to him in Colorado. He looked good at times, and other times he looked terrible. You're allowed to admit these things. And there are people that watch that video today and they're going, "Oh, he's just having fun," whatever. Like, his whole thing is he's immature and he needs to just kind of step in line. I know people don't want to hear that. They think, "Oh, he's Shedeur Sanders. He can do what he wants." No, dude, you're a 5th-round pick. Just shut the fuck up. Get into your playbook. Do your job. That's it. That's what's going to get you on the football field. Look at Tom Brady. Was Tom Brady a jokester? No. Tom Brady was a fucking no-nonsense kind of quarterback. So do you want your quarterback doing this miming bullshit that he's doing today, or do you want your quarterback to just shut up, answer a question, and get back into the playbook? Because that's what I want my quarterback to do. Dillon Gabriel gave a quick press conference, gave good political answers. So did Joe Flacco. Then they went back to practice. Shedeur Sanders comes in, makes a fucking mockery of the whole thing, and he's made, whatever, it's going viral. So, of course, the day that the Dillon Gabriel news breaks, Shedeur Sanders is the biggest headline. That's not his fault. That's his dad's fault. Not his fault, I should say. It's because of his dad. So, of course, Shedeur Sanders is going to get the, headlines. There are a lot of people that are bitching about that, saying, "Why are they interviewing him then? He's a 3rd-round pick. The media shouldn't even be talking to him." The media talks to anybody they fucking want. You're under an NFL contract. The media can talk to whoever. It's up to you what kind of answers you give them. Every team, players are interviewed in the locker room if you actually follow football. If you follow local beat reporters, you'll see interviews from guys you've probably never even heard of. An offensive lineman has a quote in a game or in a practice week, and you go, "Oh," if you look it up, you go, "I don't even know who that is." But they interview everybody. It's the people that get headlines. Shedeur Sanders is clickbait. Shedeur Sanders' name is going to get viral. If you listen to any Cleveland sports show tomorrow morning, I guarantee you this Shedeur thing will be the number 1 topic over Dillon Gabriel being the starting quarterback, which I think is way more fucking important. We have a new quarterback starting. It's week 5. The Browns are 1-3. You know who else is 1-3? The Baltimore Ravens. And Lamar Jackson's going to be out for a couple of weeks at least because of a hamstring injury. The Pittsburgh Steelers are 3-1. They're a beatable team, by the way. And the Cincinnati Bengals are 2-2, I think. And I'm not saying Dillon Gabriel is going to take us to the playoffs, but if he does play well enough, he absolutely could. Xavier Howard. Is it Xavier or Xavier? Miami put him on the retired list. That's fair. Puka Nacua is killing it. I saw a stat the other day that showed that Puka Nacua is further away from the 2nd place fantasy player than the 2nd place fantasy player is away from like the 27th ranked fantasy player. That's how fucking far of a gap there is. Puka Nacua is killing it this year. But the Dillon Gabriel news should be huge. If you're a Browns fan, you're like, okay, we're making a change. Joe Flacco was a statue back there. Joe Flacco was getting destroyed. Our offensive line was bad. I'm the first to admit that. DeJuan Jones, IR. He got hurt last week, or he went on the IR last week because he got hurt during the game against the Packers. And Jack Conklin got hurt week 1. He got poked in the eye. Then he went to practice, hurt his elbow. He's been out ever since. So Jack Conklin, maybe he plays again this week. Maybe he doesn't. The Browns did trade for a tackle, though. They traded for who did they trade for? It's an offensive lineman. He played in Jacksonville for a long time. Then he was with the Texans. I can't remember his name. Cam Robinson? Is it Cam Robinson? Yeah. Browns did trade for an offensive lineman the other day in basically a late pick swap, so no harm, no foul. And He'll probably be starting. That's how bad the situation is at the offensive line. So shout out to Joe Flacco. He gave it his all. He just doesn't fit our offense. I was telling people for the last couple of weeks, I feel like he is a little, because he is 40 years old or whatever, he isn't processing the field as quick as he used to, and he's not able to make a read. Maybe that is because the Browns' weapons are not good. I'm the first to admit that. Jerry Jeudy is your number one wide receiver. Not good. David Njoku, for whatever reason, looks as slow as Joe Flacco. I don't know what happened to that guy, but he looks like he is not able to play football anymore. Craziness to me. There's just a lot of issues with this offense right now. And again, the Browns are tanking. Fans don't want to hear that. The Browns are not interested in trying to do anything this year. They are building their roster to get out of the Deshaun Watson contract, which it was a mistake, but it happens. They're working to get themselves out of that and have themselves another quarterback to build with. It's simple. They're not a good enough team, and they don't have enough cap to try to get a quarterback in right now that's under contract. They have to try to find one for the cheap. That's why they got Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett was brought in here to be the starter. I didn't think so at first. I did think they were going to take a quarterback high. And then I started really studying the quarterbacks, and I was like, I really hope they don't take one high because I don't like these guys. If I, at the time, I'm like, well, they have Kenny Pickett on the roster and nobody else, so they're going to have to draft Shedeur Sanders. There's just no option. Like, what are they going to do? They have to take Shedeur at number 2. I didn't want it, but I'm talking myself into it because I'm like, what the fuck? Nothing else makes sense to me. And they, in fact, were going to do that. They were going to go with Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, and, whomever, Bailey Zappi, whatever, a veteran, Tyler Huntley, whomever. And they end up taking Shedeur in the 5th round. And they signed Joe Flacco. So now you have 4 quarterbacks. You went from 1 going, who the fuck's going to play, to 4 going, now who the fuck's going to play? And Joe Flacco ended up winning the job because Kenny Pickett couldn't stay healthy in training camp. I 150% believe that Kenny Pickett was slated to be your starting quarterback. Had he not suffered injuries in training camp, Joe Flacco probably would have been cut. Kenny Pickett's your starter, maybe even today. We'll see. I don't know if that would have made a big difference. The Browns have had a fucking hard schedule. But as I was kind of getting to, as I got sidetracked, because that's what I do, I ramble. The AFC North is wide open. I'm not claiming that the Browns are going to be a playoff team, but the Browns have one of the best defenses in football. And if Dylan Gabriel can just play smart football and kind of get the offense clicking a little bit, if we get Jack Conklin back, we now have Cam Robinson at left tackle. Dylan Gabriel's a little mobile. Joe Flacco was not. It was easy for teams to come stack the box because the Browns aren't running deep throws. The Browns' offensive line can't block for a long time because it's not good. So Joe Flacco can't move and doesn't have a lot of time to get rid of the ball. Defenses can stack the box, which then, when you try to run the ball, makes it way fucking harder. Dylan Gabriel can get the ball out quicker than Joe Flacco. He can move, which is going to make safeties have to play a little further back and have to kind of respect his speed a little bit. And that might open up your run game. That's kind of how this all works. And the Browns' offense is built around the run game. They need play-action passes. They need bootlegs. They need misdirections. That's how this offense is built. And it's also built on quick passes. So expect a lot of slants, a lot of screen plays, a lot of easy things. But if Dylan Gabriel can get the safeties to kind of respect him, and they step back a little bit, and the linebackers have to take an extra step back, that helps your run game. That's the whole process that we're trying to get through. Joe Flacco just didn't have the capability to get the defenses to respect him, so they could just stack the box. Nobody was getting open. By the time, if you stack the box, if a guy, God forbid, is flying down the field, by the time they get past somebody, Joe Flacco's already getting hit. That's the whole deal. That's why Joe Flacco is benched. Again, shout out to Joe Flacco for what he did in 2023 for the regular season. That was fun. The playoffs, that's when I said, okay, I've seen enough. This dude's trash. He's cooked. Last year, there were a bunch of Browns fans clamoring to get him back, and I tried to tell them all, I'm like, the Browns didn't bring him back because he's not good. They're like, no, they didn't want to hurt Deshaun's feelings. No, now do you understand why they didn't bring Joe Flacco back last year? This is Joe Flacco. He's just old. That happens. What do you want? Father Time is undefeated, except for LeBron James and Tom Brady. It's weird. I don't know how. But anyway, Dylan Gabriel starting on Sunday against the Minnesota Vikings, his first career start. We'll talk about that towards the end of the episode because I have a lot more to say about it. But I just also want to talk about this again, the Shedeur Sanders thing. There are people out there that are going to be rooting against Dylan Gabriel so fucking badly because they think that if Dylan Gabriel plays bad, that just makes Shedeur better. Not the case. If Dylan Gabriel plays really bad, there's a good chance Joe Flacco then becomes the quarterback again. And if Joe Flacco becomes quarterback again and still sucks, there's a really good chance Bailey Zappi plays before Shedeur Sanders. And also, one more name you guys might have forgotten about, but I haven't. Deshaun Watson. Gun to my head, I would have said there's no fucking way that guy touches the field in 2025. No way. He tore his Achilles twice. You don't come back from that. We're approaching almost the calendar year to when that injury happened. It was late October against the Cincinnati Bengals. I only remember that because I was traveling. I had just landed in Punta Cana. We were on the bus to get to our resort. I pull out my phone, and my phone is blowing up with Deshaun Watson's Achilles blew, and the season's over, blah, blah, blah. And not even over. People are actually celebrating because they're kind of scummy. But Deshaun Watson tore his Achilles about a year ago. I thought for sure, okay, that's a year-long injury. He'll be back, in November, around Thanksgiving, Halloween, give or take. And then there were reports that he tore it a second time. He re-aggravated the injury training. So then I thought, this was in the offseason, so I thought, this dude's done. He's no fucking way he's touching the field in 2025. Now there's videos of him taking snaps, putting pressure on it, throwing the ball, looking pretty normal. And he was only on the PUP list. Wasn't put on IR for the season or anything. He was on the PUP list, physically unable to perform list. That means you have to go at least 4 weeks. You're not allowed to practice with the team. You're not allowed to do anything like that. But you're allowed to train. You can do whatever you want, but you're just not allowed to be with the team. So he's been on the PUP list. When they activate him from the PUP list, the Browns will then have 5 quarterbacks. Something has to be done. They can't cut Deshaun. He's too expensive. So if they activate him from the PUP list, you could cut Bailey Zappi, but Bailey Zappi's on your practice squad, so he doesn't count for anything anyway. Because you'd have to waive Deshaun Watson, which I don't think they could do to put him on the practice squad because of his contract. I don't know how that works. I'd have to actually look into that. I'm not sure. But I don't think you're not getting Deshaun Watson on your practice squad. I don't think you can get Shedeur Sanders, and that's the other thing that people don't understand about football. Yes, if the Browns waived Shedeur Sanders and tried to put him on the practice squad, some other team would probably pick him up to be a backup quarterback for them. I don't think the Browns want to lose Shedeur. I think they've been working with him. They're trying to make him better. It's no detriment to them that they're working with a kid who clearly has his flaws as a quarterback. And people hate them for that because they're not just instantly making him the starter because they're trying to make him good. Shame on them. Whatever. The Browns are going to eventually have Deshaun Watson back more than likely this season. And I was saying earlier today, I was in a chat on YouTube with the people from ESPN 850. They do a YouTube show, and I watch it, and I chat with some of the people in the comments. And one of the things I said in there is I said, the day Deshaun Watson gets activated from the PUP list and he surpasses Shedeur Sanders on the depth chart, I cannot wait to just sit back with a bowl of popcorn and read the comments, and the people lose their fucking minds. It's going to be really funny to me. But again, if Dillon Gabriel goes out there on Sunday, first and foremost, he's going to have a pretty long leash unless he gets injured. He is going to be able to make mistakes. He's a third-round pick. I am not expecting him to go out there and light the world on fire on Sunday. Do I think he could do some good things because there's no tape on him? Or very little tape on him, I should say. Yeah, it happens. Rookie quarterbacks can sometimes come in and light the world on fire, and then after a couple of weeks when teams kind of understand their nuances, they figure some shit out that player has to adapt. He's a third-round pick, which means teams view him as not a first-round pick or a second-round pick talent-wise. He's going to struggle. This isn't breaking news. I got into a lot of arguments today with Shedeur fans. And again, I preface with that. Shedeur fans, not Browns fans. So these people just want everything in Cleveland to fail except for Shedeur. They want Dillon Gabriel to suck and get hurt. They wanted Flacco to get benched and hurt or, whatever. And they want Shedeur to start. That's it. That's all they care about. So again, there was a guy who literally said he can't wait for Sunday because he said, if I were you, I would block me right now because come Sunday, I am going to be on you. And I'm like, so you're going to define a guy's career, a third-round pick, by his very first NFL game. And I said, that is the low football IQ answer that I was reply that I was expecting to hear. And he sent me a thumbs up. So there are people that are actively rooting against Dillon Gabriel. They cannot wait. If God forbid he throws an interception, everyone's going to be fucking going nuts because again, I don't know if you guys know this, no quarterback in NFL history has ever thrown an interception. Not even the good ones, or none of the good ones, I should say. Tom Brady never threw an interception. So that just doesn't happen. So if you're a quarterback and you throw an interception, you're garbage instantly. That's just how they define it because these people are fucking stupid. I'm obviously being sarcastic. So that's going to be really annoying dealing with that. Every little thing that Dillon Gabriel does is going to be put under a microscope by Shedeur fans, not Browns fans. I'm a Browns fan. I want the team to win. Do I think Shedeur can come in and give you an opportunity to win? Fuck no. Shedor's biggest issue in college was that he struggled against pass rush. He runs backwards. He thinks he can extend a play. He thinks he's more athletic than he really is. And that's why in that LA Rams preseason game, he had negative 30 yards because he ran back. He got sacked for negative 45 yards or whatever the fuck it was. So he's not going to just instantly be your starter if Dillon Gabriel doesn't play well for a couple of weeks. They'll keep playing Dillon Gabriel. And then again, there's a pecking order that I don't think Shedeur has made any progress on. Joe Flacco will come back into this team if no other quarterback is ready to play based on the Browns' assessments. And again, you can shit on the Browns all day and say, oh, what do they know about developing quarterbacks? That's fine, whatever. Again, if you want to fan scared, I call it fanning scared if you're just stuck in the past of, well, they drafted Brady Quinn and Johnny Manziel and you know, all these quarterbacks that stunk, so why should they ever be good? Mind you, this current regime didn't draft those guys. But there's fans that think that way. That, oh, any quarterback we take is just going to stink because we're the Browns. So we're just going to suck forever. The same fans that wanted Andrew Berry fired before this year's draft, and then Andrew Berry has, so far, one of the best draft classes of any team that I've ever seen in my fandom of the NFL. If you go top to bottom, Mason Graham looks like a stud. Quinshon Judkins looks like a stud. Carson Schlesinger looks like a stud. Aiden Hutchinson, free agent, looks like a stud. Dylan Sampson looks like he's a good player that you're going to be able to do some things with. I know he's not getting a lot of touches right now, but I also feel like he was kind of pushed in a little too early. Harold Fannin, stud. So these players, you know, maybe Dillon Gabriel's actually pretty good. Maybe the Browns kind of know what they're doing. Again, I'm not saying he's going to go out there and dominate, but the people that are just instantly burying him before he ever takes a snap is just fucking wild to me. And again, it's Shedeur fans over Browns fans. So what happened was, and I'll get to this Josina Anderson tweet. So Josina Anderson, she tweeted, good for Shedeur. Coming for more things to criticize? Yes, no, doesn't matter. Not today. Go talk to Dillon Gabriel or Joe Flacco. This was after his miming video. I responded with, the media did talk to Gabriel and Flacco. They both were professional and normal, unlike whatever this was. And she responded to me with, so no joking allowed, no personality allowed. That was a joke. Yeah, so actually there's a lot of people that are actually coming to the defense of me, and they're all responding to Josina Anderson going, no, you're the third quarterback. You're supposed to just give a fucking generic answer, which I agree with completely. But yeah, so that's the tweet I got back from Josina Anderson. I don't plan on responding to her because that's a stupid reply. But again, there are a lot of people that are saying the same shit. They're saying, well, if you think Shedeur's so bad, why don't the Browns cut him? And I'm like, because he's a fucking fifth-round pick. Fifth-round picks get drafted. They sit on the bench. And if the team thinks they're ready to play, they get playing time. It's that simple. You don't just cut a guy because he's not starting. You wouldn't have depth at that point. You wouldn't have a bench. There are players on this team that I like, that the Browns have, who aren't playing because they're backups. That's just how the fucking world works. That's how sports work. They need to keep working hard. Maybe one day they'll get their opportunity. Speaking of, Gage Larvin, he got activated. He's on the starting roster this week because DeAndre Carter is out. He's on the IR. He hurt his knee. He's our kick returner. Gage Larvin will likely be your kick and punt returner moving forward. He's a kid that I like. Preseason looked great, but he was an undrafted free agent. You don't just automatically jump to the front of the line. You kind of have to earn your stripes. So he was on the practice squad for the first month of the season. Now he's getting some playing time. That's how it works in football. Maybe if Shedeur just shuts his mouth and works hard, and Dillon Gabriel does go out there and suck the place up, or he gets hurt, whatever, maybe he will move up and play some football games. But doing this bullshit in the background, just distracting, making your team look like a bunch of fucking idiots, is stupid. I don't care who he is. I don't care if it's Shedeur Sanders. I don't care if it was fucking Flacco. Any player on this team, if you do something like that, I would say it's stupid. So that's where we stand. Again, Browns fans, brace yourselves for the impending Dillon Gabriel hate from everybody. The second he does one thing wrong, it will be so scrutinized. And there are people that just hated the draft pick immediately. I was a big defender of the pick because, again, I understand that he was not drafted to be our franchise quarterback. He's a third-round pick. If you find your franchise quarterback in the third round, you hit lightning in a fucking bottle. It is rare. Kirk Cousins. He was a third-round pick for RG3. Turned out to be a pretty good quarterback. Very good in Minnesota till injuries kind of derailed him. Franchise quarterback, you could say that, I guess. Russell Wilson, Super Bowl winning quarterback. third-round pick. Lightning in a bottle. It's not easy to do. So do I think Dillon Gabriel can be our franchise quarterback that wins us a Super Bowl? Probably not. The odds are very much against that. Do I think he could be a good backup quarterback for us for the future? Do I think he could be a smart player that if next year they take a quarterback very high, Fernando Mendoza, if they take a quarterback very high, then he's the guy in the locker room with him, or in the quarterback room with him, watching tape, breaking down like, hey, look at this read. Look at this is what you should have done here. This is what the defense is doing. He's very smart. That's why he was brought in. He's essentially a player coach. Good person to have. That's very beneficial for young quarterbacks to have somebody that they can lean on, because Joe Flacco won't be here next year. So he'll be in year 2, but you need a veteran quarterback to be with your young rookie. That helps. Most teams do that. Jaden Daniels has Marcus Mariota behind him. Brock Purdy has Mac Jones behind him. Who else? I'm drawing a blank on other quarterbacks. Carson Wentz backing up J.J. McCarthy. Here are veteran quarterbacks all throughout the NFL. That's just what you're supposed to do. I know Dillon Gabriel's in year 2 next year, so I'm not saying he's a veteran the same as those other guys, but most teams try to have a good backup quarterback on their roster. That's just what you do. Tyrod Taylor backing up Justin Fields. Obviously, Justin Fields isn't a rookie, but you get what I'm saying. Backup quarterback is an important position. Look at what the Giants did. The Giants signed Russell Wilson, signed Jameis Winston, draft Jackson Dart, and they have too many fucking quarterbacks now. And Russell Wilson got benched, and Jackson Dart moved up to number 1. And I think Russell Wilson, if I'm not mistaken, is still the second quarterback. Jameis Winston didn't go to 2 all of a sudden. Russell Wilson's the backup. So that's just how this works. There's a pecking order. And I'd rather have a couple good quarterbacks than shit quarterbacks that we've had forever in Cleveland. So maybe Dillon Gabriel will be pretty damn good. Maybe he won't be. Only one way to find out. You got to play. He's making his first career start this Sunday. We'll talk about it against the Vikings. We'll break it all down later. But for now, let's get into the recap of our picks from last week. And I forgot to look those over. My apologies, George. I think I had a very bad week. We will go over these live, and we will go over them very quickly. So we had Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime. Seattle won. That's a clean sweep for everybody. Minnesota Vikings lost to the Steelers. We all lost that one. We all got swept. Let me do full screen here because I cannot see that. And we had Washington loses to Atlanta. We all took Washington, so that's a big L. Buffalo with the W. We all get that. George took them minus 15.5. Unfortunately, that did not come to fruition, George. That happens. That was a huge spread. I took egg on my face. I took Carolina plus 5.5 because I thought it would at least be a close game, and they got blown out by almost 30 points. So, we can't win them all. So there's a big X for me on that one. Kyle did take New England. George also took Carolina. I think my pen's dying. That's no bueno. Let me switch pens here. George did take the Giants. He got that one. Kyle and I took the Chargers. I took Philly. That's a win for me because I know how Baker Mayfield plays against good teams, and I saw that coming. He threw that end zone interception because that's what Baker does. Houston gets the W. The LA Rams, what was their final score? LA wins 27-20. Kyle took Indy plus 3.5, so he lost both of those. Nobody got their spread picks this week. I did take the Rams, though. George took Indy, so that's an L for them. San Fran loses to Jacksonville. That's a bummer as a Browns fan because I need Jacksonville to keep losing. Baltimore got their asses beat by Kansas City. I did not expect that. Chicago sneaks away the W against the Raiders with a blocked field goal at the end. Green Bay and Dallas tie. So that one is a wash. I'm not even gonna put a tie in our score. I just won't even count that game. New York Jets lose to the Dolphins. We all took the Jets. That's a bummer. Denver does win, and Detroit with the clean sweeps. Let me do the scores really quick. I was at 35-16, and I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's 44 for me. And loss column, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Whoops, sorry, I skipped one. My apologies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that is 44-22 is my current score. Kyle was 39-11. He got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which puts him at 47. So I am catching up for those of you keeping score at home. And his loss is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. and that puts him at 47-18. George here, 28-20. Or I think you're still off. I need your week one. Maybe you gave it to me and I didn't add it up.
7-9.
You were 7-9, so that puts you would have been 35-29. So we got your right score there. Okay. George went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 wins there. And losses 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't count the spread losses. Those don't hurt you.
Okay.
Yeah,
that so George was garbage.
Yeah, I don't count. I'm not counting that game either. So 8-6 for George here. So that's going to put George at 43-35. 43-35. So George is nipping on our heels there because he has. I have 44. George has 43. Kyle has 47. Now, not a bad week right there. All of you guys can see the scores. George and I talked before the show with Kyle not being here. We were probably going to end the show a little early. George had a power outage at home. He has not slept in 24 hours. He wants to get some rest, and we both want to watch the show The Floor. So we're going to be wrapping the show up a little sooner than normal just because I'm flying the ship solo with the help of George here as my co-pilot for the picks. Really quick, I think I'm missing one thing.
Did you want this first?
Yeah, we'll do WNBA. So we'll do WNBA, and then we'll do MLB postseason. Really quickly, Tyreek Hill tore his ACL, NCL, tore his everything you could think of. That was one of the nastiest ones I've seen in a while. He is done. On the bright side, though, his wife and kids have never been safer for a couple of weeks till he can get back on his feet. So shout out to them. Tyreek Hill is cooked, though. There were a lot of reports, rumors, people thinking that he would get traded, but he suffered a nasty knee injury, and he is out probably career-ending, if I had to guess, based on his age. You don't come back from that. Yeah, when you're a speed guy and your knee is destroyed, you're done. So, with that being said, I don't think there's a whole lot of other news in the NFL this weekend. I mean, typical injuries and stuff like that, nothing really.
Yeah, the 49ers are breaking out the wheelchairs for the whole team.
Yeah, the Niners just cannot stay healthy. Obviously, last week, Nick Bosa was ruled out for the season, and Brock Purdy complained of his toe re-aggravating after the game on Sunday, and he likely will not be playing tomorrow.
Jennings won't be playing either. And
Juwan Jennings is out too. I didn't see that.
And Pearsall is also out too.
Pearsall, I mean, honestly, I don't even notice when he's out there, to be honest. I think that was a bad draft pick. So there's one guy that won't be missed because you never even knew he was there. So we'll talk all about that when we get to our picks later. I like busting George's balls. He's a Niners fan for whatever reason. And we do have the WNBA finals starting off October 3rd, which is Friday night. And the Las Vegas Aces I think they won last year, so they're looking to go back-to-back against the Phoenix Mercury. The Las Vegas Aces almost got eliminated by a very, very injury-depleted Indiana Fever. Indiana did not have Sophie Cunningham. They did not have Caitlin Clark. And they still needed all 5 games to beat Indiana and overtime in Game 5. That was a really good series. I don't know if you guys watch WNBA. I try to catch it every once in a while when I can because, I'm obviously doing other shit. But I do try to throw it on when I get a chance. And Phoenix wins their series against the Minnesota Lynx. And it is, again, Las Vegas Aces versus the Phoenix Mercury. Asia Wilson just won MVP, looking to get another championship. Gun to my head, my pick, I'm going Las Vegas Aces. I do think they are the better team, and I think they're going to get themselves another championship, which would be cool. So check that out if you get a chance this Friday night. Major League Baseball playoffs are underway. I kind of gave you guys a breakdown earlier. Guardians and Tigers are tied at 1. Boston and New York, 1-0 Boston. That game is in where was it? I just checked. It was in the 7th inning. Middle of the 7th, 3-3. Top of the 8th, still 3-3. Padres win today 3-0. That series is tied 1-1. And the Dodgers beat the absolute shit out of the Reds yesterday. Poor Tito looking like a quick 2-day trip to Los Angeles before they get to ride their scooter and go back home. So that's where we are with Major League Baseball playoffs. Obviously, these series all wrap up tomorrow, and then the DS Division Series, they start on Saturday. So very exciting stuff. Hopefully by this time next week, we're talking about Guardians and Seattle Mariners. We will see.
I was a real smart aleck last night. I turned around and I said, if you look at that quick picture, I said, you can see 2 Ohio teams. There would be a possibility you could have an Ohio World Series. It could happen.
There's a super slim chance. But yeah, the thing that everybody was saying was how cool would it be if Tito gets to take on the Guardians? He's only been gone for 2 years. That would be a cool story. But unfortunately, the Reds are just not up to par, and I don't think they have it in them. They barely snuck into the playoffs, for God's sake. So I'm not holding my breath on that. But still really cool. Happy for Tito to get there his first year in Cincinnati for a team in a city that has not had a lot of success. He instantly turns them into a playoff team. So that's pretty cool. Happy for him. I've never had anything, I know how it went down with Tito. He just needed to take a year off for his health. Hopefully he's healthy down there. I know, when he was with the Guardians, he did it a couple of times where he left the team for a while and we had interim coaches and stuff like that because he is getting older, doesn't really take care of himself that well, if we're being honest. So we'll see how that goes with his tenure in Cincinnati. Hopefully it's a long one with a lot of success, just none over the Guardians. But for right now, wishing them well. The Dodgers are my second favorite team, so I'm very much rooting against Tito, but whatever. That series is 1-0 Dodgers and probably ending tonight if I had to guess, if I was a betting man, which I am, and the Dodgers are on my bet slip, so we'll see how that goes. I actually have their pitcher, was it Yamamoto or whatever? I have him at 7 strikeouts. I need him to hit that. I had a little strikeout parlay. I took Tanner Bybee at 4 strikeouts, and I took the fuck's his name? I don't know how you say his last name. I'll look it up. We shall find it. It'll take me 2 seconds here. Yeah, Yamamoto. I was right. Yamamoto. I have him for 7 strikeouts. So if he gets 7, Bybee already got me my 4 that I needed earlier today. I'll hit a nice little parlay. So we'll see how that goes. They had a little playoff baseball boost on FanDuel that I said, don't mind if I do. So we'll see how that goes. Now, with that being said, it is time for picks. We're going to go right off of the ESPN website because, again, that is where we pick our spreads. Give me 1 second to look at a couple spreads here because I truthfully have not looked at any yet. Indy, New Orleans.
I literally just pulled this off. So
wait, New Orleans is a fucking favorite?
Don't ask me how on God's green earth that happened. I have no idea. I was just as shocked as you are.
These games are tough.
These games are ugly, dude.
All right, I don't know. I think I got my pick. We'll wing it. If I have to go back to one, I'll do that because I don't know right now. Looking at those who I want to take, but I'm ready to get into picks. So let me fill it all out here. We have week 5, JG, Kyle, and Double G.
And we got our first bye weeks. So all
yes. Those are affecting my fantasy teams big time because I have not a lot of wide receiver depth because of Mike Evans getting hurt, and now I am without DJ Moore because of his bye week. So they are not doing me any favors. And one of the guys on my bench is Dontavian Wicks, who's the wide receiver for Green Bay. So that really doesn't do me any favors. Then in another league, I have Drake London, who's on a bye. So I am just getting bent over a barrel with bye weeks. But when I draft, I don't look at bye weeks. My thought process is I will happily take one loss to have a good roster, if that's what it means. So it happens. We'll see what we can do. I did sneak in and get Michael Carter in almost every league that I'm in because he is presumably going to be the starting running back in Arizona. And he said so himself essentially today. They were talking about the depth chart and the pecking order. He got the top billing in practice, and it looks like he is going to be the starting running back in Arizona with Trey Benson and James Conner being hurt. So that was a nice little pickup for me. So I got a little depth there. I found myself a nice starting running back in the garbage pile. We'll see how it works out for me. But we get into Thursday Night Football instantly. I don't know. I mean, I know you're a fan, but I think it's safe to say we can both take Los Angeles. I'm taking the Chargers or the Rams here.
I never thought you'd have to sit there and go, Jesus, you need a wide receiver. You need more backup wide receivers than you do quarterbacks.
Yeah,
it's
tough.
It's going to hurt for a little while.
Hey, I mean, if that's one team for whatever reason, they always get hit with the injury bug pretty fucking hard. But Shanahan keeps them competitive, and that's the one good thing is they don't quit on him. I don't know how long his luck's going to keep going. No, he's a great player coach. Guys love him. They love playing for him. I mean, I don't know how long that's going to last though. Like if you're San Francisco, you're a fan, so you would know better.
Yeah.
How long do you keep him?
Yeah, Lynch isn't planning on bumping off of him anytime soon.
Okay.
As long as Lynch stays in between him and Jed York, I think it's good.
He vaguely reminds me of a better Mike Tomlin. Guys love playing for Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin's consistent with winning seasons. Mike Tomlin has gotten to the playoffs, many, many times. He has a Super Bowl technically, but it was from Bill Cowher's teams. Yeah. But Mike Tomlin is a great coach, but he hasn't done shit. Like, they get to the playoffs, but that's it. They get eliminated. It's rinse and repeat. So it's not really shocking to anything. Shanahan, on the other hand, has gotten to Super Bowls. He has taken his team as far as he could with bad play. They made that huge trade for Trey Lance. It was a huge failure. Still managed to be successful because they found lightning in a bottle with Purdy, and they had good success with Jimmy Garoppolo, et cetera, et cetera. So they find ways to win. They stay competitive. I'll never blame a coach for injuries. That's the one thing that Browns fans like to do because, like, our tackles got hurt. So they're like, the Browns fucking suck. They can't find tackles and their offensive line's garbage. It's like, dude, we're on our second and third string guys. What do you expect? Like, nobody has that kind of depth in the NFL. There's no other team out there that if your starting tackles get injured, you're like, nah, we're fine. Most teams are like, shit, we're kind of fucked. We weren't prepared for this.
Well, because you're only keeping about 2 to 3, and that's it.
You try to keep a swing guy because you go, okay, if my left tackle gets hurt, this guy can fill in. If my right tackle gets hurt, he can fill in over there. When they're both hurt, you go, shit, this guy has to play there, and then we have to hope for the best on this side. So, I mean, I don't hold that against anybody.
Yeah, I've done it a lot on the defensive side of things so far with the junior high group, so trust me.
Somebody brought up a really good point. I saw a tweet yesterday, and I think you'll enjoy it. You'll agree. They basically said that there are fans out there that think the NFL should get 2 to 4 more expansion teams. And they said, could you imagine trying to find 5 offensive linemen for 4 more teams? Like, the talent is going to be garbage in the NFL at that point because it'll be so watered down. And I could absolutely see the NFL trying to get more teams because it means more money, because there's always rumors of, do they make an international team? Are they going to put a team in this city? Blah, blah, blah. There's always these weird rumors. Will it ever happen? I don't think so. I think they're good right now where they're at, but never say never. But that is a funny thought of like, shit, the talent pool is already pretty bad at some positions where you need a lot of guys. You need 5 offensive linemen. You need, anywhere between 5 to 6 wide receivers on any given week, and defensive linemen, same thing, cornerbacks. Now, if you stretch that out to now there's 4 more teams taking from the talent pool, good luck. That is ugly.
I mean, I just watched the video of the 2 Houston offensive linemen go in to block each other, and the nose guard went the other way, and I went, good Lord, look out, CJ. Just run, dude. Just run.
Yeah, it's ugly. Something's weird about the NFL season this year. It seems it's not crisp. Guys look, I don't want to say they're all poorly coached, but it looks that way. There are a lot of teams where I look at them play and I go, God, what the fuck is this team doing? I mean, you got Ben Johnson, the Bears coach. We'll get to him. I'm sure you saw his little chat with Aditi Kikawala the other day where she did her normal talk to the coach at halftime thing, and she said, your offense is struggling. He's like, you think so? You think they're not doing anything? And he was like, pissy. Week 1, he didn't know the rules. He could have kicked the ball out of bounds and said he didn't. He cost himself, a free timeout with 2-minute warning. Essentially lost himself the game week 1. And then he had a meltdown with Aditi Kikawala the other day, got his ass kicked from the Lions a couple of weeks ago. There's a shot of him on the sideline where he looks like Adam Gase from years ago when he was a Jets head coach. Adam Gase had those huge fucking bug eyes, and he looked all crazy, and he had crazy eyes going. Ben Johnson had the same situation happen. So it's like, what the fuck's wrong with these coaches? You got Liam Cohen, the guy who looks like he would do your taxes, the dork for the Jacksonville Jaguars, trying to run his mouth to Robert Saleh, who would bench press him in a heartbeat. Weird shit happening around the NFL right now that is entertaining for me, but it's also just bizarre, very bizarre. Sorry, I got sidetracked. I went off the rails a little bit. Let's get back into picks. Obviously, Minnesota-Cleveland will be the last game that we pick. Vegas-Indianapolis. This is a tough one. Vegas has Geno Smith, who is a turnover machine. He has turned the ball over. He has 8 interceptions, by far the most in the NFL. However, it looks like Ashton Genty may have figured out how to run the football in the NFL. Is that a case if he played the Chicago Bears, or is it because he stood up and did his little weird thing? They also lost Colton Miller, their left tackle, for probably he has a high ankle sprain. He's out for probably a month at least. That's going to hurt their offensive line. Indianapolis is a very good team right now. They can score the ball. They should have won in LA the other day, if not for a couple of blunders from Adonai Mitchell. But with that being said, this is kind of a 50-50 game to me. Vegas really likes Indy. They got him at 5.5. I think it's 6.5 even. They have him at 6.5. That's huge. I like Indy. I think that spread's way too high. I could see this being way closer. Part of me wants to take this as a plus 6.5 for the Vegas Raiders. I'm not going to, but there's a part of me that kind of wants to. I am going to take the Colts outright, though, for right now. So give me Indy.
Ditto. Yep.
Okay.
You ain't fooling me.
Next up, we have the New York Football Giants against the New Orleans Saints. The Giants just beat Justin Herbert, albeit the Chargers had to travel a long way. Justin Herbert had a horrible game. Justin Herbert lost the game for the Chargers. They should have won that game, truth be told. They still played really well. They did lose Malik Neighbors for the season, though. He tore his ACL. The MetLife Monster Turf got another victim, and he is out for the year.
Investigated, by the way.
Which, I kind of look at it as like, I don't think there's anything to it. I feel like if you really look around the NFL, guys get hurt on any type of field. I've seen guys tear their Achilles in any sport. Najee Harris just popped his Achilles running the ball in LA a couple weeks ago. Deshaun Watson popped his, I think, it was in Cleveland. The NBA, how many Achilles tears were there in the NBA last year? I mean, shit, if you wore the number 0, you were fucked in the playoffs last year. So, and that's on hardwood. So I don't know. They're like, oh, it's the turf. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. I feel like we're seeing more ACL and Achilles injuries because of training and because of how guys take care of their body. To me, there's a direct correlation to when teams, because of the NFLPA, had to really take a step back on the amount of practicing and stuff like that, that conditioning that goes in the offseason. Now you're seeing a ton of injuries. To me, that
they don't play that much in preseason.
That too, guys don't play. So all of a sudden you go from half-assing things in practice to full speed. Your body's not ready for that. Yep. So I am not a believer of it being the turf's fault as others, but that's just me. Obviously it was a nasty snap and all that, but look at Tyreek Hill. Yeah. Nothing to do with the field. He was straight. He had some weight on his back from the other player, and his knee gave. That's just what happens. Doesn't matter. So, with that being said, I don't know. I'm taking the Giants. I don't know. The Saints played really well against Buffalo last week, but I kind of feel like that was their Super Bowl. They really wanted to show the world they could beat Buffalo and they could compete. They did as hard as they could. Now they're going back. I feel like they're going to be a little more demoralized. So give me the Giants in this one.
Yep, same here.
Next up, Dallas at New York. This is a battle of two shitty football teams. Dallas can't stop anybody on defense. Their offense can score, I guess. The Jets, shitty team. I don't know what to tell you. This one's tough. This is going to basically come down to who can get the last stop. I could see this one being a high-scoring game. Dallas is only 2.5. They're on the road. The Jets look like shit. I don't know. Give me Dallas. I got to take Dallas. I don't trust the Jets. Jets are just a bad team. Aaron Glenn looks outcoached every week. He looks like a guy that doesn't know what he's doing. He came out the other day and he's like, well, we won't get the calls until we start winning. So he thinks the refs are against him, just saying dumb shit. I don't know. Give me Dallas. I can't take the Giants or the Jets in good faith. I can't take New York teams in one day.
I am gonna ride with the New York thing. I am riding with the Jets. I think Dallas is a sham and a half. Absolutely.
Yeah,
that game is Sunday night. I started watching it, and when I saw Green Bay, they were 14-2 or 21-2, and I'm going, okay, I can go to bed, no big deal. And then 3 a.m. I see 40.
I fell asleep right when overtime was starting. So they went out there, they did the coin toss, and I was laying there and I kind of caught myself. I was dozing a little bit. Like I'm laying there watching the game and I could hear myself kind of going like I was fading. So I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to go to sleep. Let me see who wins when I wake up. I had a bet on it. I had a bet for the Packers. So I'm like, let me just see what happens. I'll, whatever. Me watching it isn't going to change the outcome, so I'll just wake up and see if I won. And I wake up and I saw 40-40. I'm like, what the fuck? I still won the bet because it was a push, so it was a parlay. So I still technically won the bet because I hit my other games. But, yeah, first off, there should not be ties in professional sports. Let's get rid of that.
Yes.
And secondly, I think this exposed the Packers more than it said anything about the Cowboys. The Packers looked like everyone said when they traded for Micah, they went out there and they beat the fuck out of the Lions week 1. Everyone's like, oh my God, they're the best team in football. Then they got their week 2. I forgot who they played week 2. Was it the Commanders? Yeah, the Commanders. Beat them up. Everyone's like, holy shit, the Packers are going to go like 10-0 before they get their first loss. Then they lose to Cleveland. And you go, okay, caught them on a bad day. George said it too. George said trap game. They were looking ahead. Then they go to Dallas, who's a shit team. They should have dominated. Tie. So I just think this says more about Green Bay than it does about any other team. But at the same time, Dallas can score. Dallas can move the ball. Their defense can occasionally make a stop or two. I just don't trust the Jets to be able to keep up offensively because of Justin Fields. He makes a lot of mistakes. Even though the Dallas defense is Swiss cheese, it's garbage. But I hate the Jets. My buddies are big Jets fans. They can go fuck themselves. I hate the Cowboys.
I was going to say, this is finally Breece Hall's game. I think it's going to be running. I think it's Breece Hall.
Yeah, I mean, with Braylon being hurt, then, yeah, I mean, that opens a door for Breece Hall to get a lot of touches. I have Garrett Wilson and Justin Fields in one of my fantasy leagues, so God forbid, I hope they take advantage of this awful defense. I just think Dallas might get that last point to win at the end, so we'll see. Next up is Denver and Philly. This game should be pretty good. Philly is this is potential Super Bowl preview. You have a great defense of Denver against a great Philadelphia team coming off an emotional roller coaster of a win against Tampa Bay last week. A lot of ups and downs. Philly is the team to beat. Philly's undefeated. Philly is 19-1 in their last 20 games or something like that, maybe more. They are a great football team. Denver comes in after beating the hell out of the Bengals on Monday Night Football, but the week before they've struggled. Bo Nix has looked mediocre. They struggled in their first couple of weeks. They almost lost to the Titans week 1. I am going to just go with the home team here. Give me Philly to keep that train rolling. You got Denver coming off a short week because they played on Monday Night Football. Philly, again, is just a better team with a little bit more talent. So give me Philadelphia.
Yeah, I always had that motto. Hey, if you win on Monday, you're losing on Sunday. And it's
especially when you're going to, I said it last week. I was like, Detroit's coming on a short week. They're playing Cleveland. Meant nothing because it's Cleveland. When you're playing on Monday Night Football and you're going then early to play the Philadelphia defending champion Super Bowl Eagles, I like the Super Bowl Eagles. So give us both Philly. Next up, Miami at Carolina. Miami did win the game on Monday night, albeit losing Tyreek Hill. Miami's still a really bad team, but Carolina looked checked out. I don't know what to make of these teams. I kind of thought I had a little bit of an edge last week when I took Carolina because I was like, all right, this team, they're competitive. At least stay competitive against the Patriots. And I think they played the Patriots. And I was like, stay competitive, and I'll win my, I had my plus 6.5 or whatever I took for Carolina. No, they got blown out. They looked terrible. Same thing with Miami. Miami looked horrible. Then they played the Jets on Monday Night Football. We all took the Jets. Miami still found a way to win that game. So I don't know what to make of these teams yet. With that being said, I'm just going to ride momentum because these are both two really bad teams. And obviously you could see the line is damn near a pick 'em. I'm going to take the Miami Dolphins to win this game on the road. I just think they do have a little bit more talent. And, okay, we got an RBI single from the Yankees. It is 4-3 in the bottom of the 8th. I'm going to take the Miami Dolphins here.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. This is a pick 'em. Jekyll and Hyde. We get Hyde again, I think, this week. I'm just going to go with the home team. I'm going to take Carolina.
Okay. I'm not going to lie. I thought you were going with me, so I wrote down Miami for you, but I will happily cross that off.
It's kind of one of those weird things.
In case I audited, I want everyone to know I crossed it out.
Yeah. Nope, you're good.
Next up, we have Houston against Baltimore. Baltimore is banged up. They're on life support. No Lamar Jackson, but they do have Cooper Rush as their backup quarterback, who is pretty damn good. At least he was in Dallas. However, defensively, they have a ton of guys out. They're without Marlon Humphreys. They are without. They put a couple guys on IR for the defensive line. I think Houston might have woken up last week, and I feel like this is going to be a good test for them because, again, I don't trust the backups in Baltimore. Roquan Smith is hurt. Lamar Jackson's not playing. They are really fucking banged up, and I think Houston's trying to get their season back in shape. Give me Houston.
You still got Derrick Henry, and if all you're going to look to do is run the football anyway.
I'll give Houston credit. Houston's defense is legit. Their offense is garbage, but their defense is very good. If you look at their games they've played this year, they have shut their opponents down. The only issue is that their offense is only scoring 13 points a game until last week, obviously, but that's the Titans. So
that
Houston's
over
defense
under is ugly.
Yeah,
that over
very, very much so. I expect it to be kind of a defensive battle. Again, you have a struggling offense in Houston, and then you have a good offense in Baltimore with a backup quarterback facing a good defense. So that's why I'm giving the edge to Houston, just because they're a little healthier. That's really the only reason I'm taking them in this one.
Yeah, and they have all their offense. But you know what? I think it's still Baltimore. I'm gonna go with Baltimore.
Okay, that's fair. All right, next up we have Tennessee at Arizona. The Tennessee Titans look like shit. The quarterback's coming out and saying that they're ass right now, and he's talking bad about his own team, which is weird. I didn't like Cam Ward to begin with, but whatever. I am taking the Arizona Cardinals.
He doesn't know how to make his reads.
No,
Tyler Lockett is sitting there going, "Hello, I'm wide open." They've done the whole little thing of, "Hey, look at the film. Lockett's open."
He just doesn't see it. And that's something that I don't think he's going to figure out in a week in the NFL. So with that being said, I think he still struggles, and I'm going to take the home Arizona Cardinals.
Ditto.
Give George in Arizona here. And next up, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going to Seattle. Me personally, Seattle's always been a tough place to play. That's a long distance for Tampa Bay to travel to. Tampa Bay is coming off an emotional loss. They are now going to be without Bucky Irving. They're already without Mike Evans. Their offensive line is extremely banged up. Seattle is clicking on all cylinders and playing really well, especially their defense. Give me Seattle at home.
Yeah, my fantasy teams took hits because
I have Bucky Irving in one of my leagues too, so I'm with Mike Evans in one league, Bucky Irving in the other. Yep, sucks. You're taking Seattle as well.
Oh yeah. I don't know what all of a sudden the Seattle 49ers game was so close you could have coin flipped that one, and they have just been rolling. So yeah.
All right, next up we have Detroit at Cincinnati. I mean, clean sweep for Detroit here, I think is safe to say. The funny thing that a lot of people are kind of overlooking is obviously Cincinnati's looked terrible the last 2 weeks, but in their defense, they have faced some of the hardest teams to play. They faced the Vikings, who are a very good defensive football team. That's no easy suit for a backup quarterback. And then they had to face the Denver Broncos, who, again, have one of the best defenses in all of football. So tough sledding for Cincinnati, who now have to go face Detroit. As a Browns fan, fuck them, A, because of the Bengals, and B, we have had just as difficult of a start of the season schedule that I've seen for any other team when you consider the Bengals came into week 1 with Super Bowl aspirations, and a lot of people thought that they could get as far as a Super Bowl. Then you go to face the Ravens. Then you face the Packers. Then you face the Lions. Now the Vikings. Browns have the same tough gauntlet of games to get through, so I feel no sympathy for Cincinnati, and that's why I'm taking the Detroit Lions.
I'm taking Detroit and the points, baby. This is my
You
point.
love those big spreads. George is taking minus 10.5.
They can blank Cincinnati. I don't see them making any move. And this is the reason why I hated the fact that I had to draft Jamar Chase in one of the leagues. I'm like, God, I need to hurry up and trade him.
Yeah, I got a buddy that's like trying to. He sends me mock trades for. He's not in my league. He sends me trades that he's suggesting to other players, and I'm like, dude, there's no fucking way anyone's taking that. He's like, well, no, what if I offer Jamar Chase and Brock Bowers for Quinshon Judkins and whoever else? And I'm like, they're not taking that. A, you're in a league full of Browns fans. Browns fans are historically known to overvalue Browns players, so you're not getting Judkins for that reason. They're not going to let him go. And B, Jamar Chase hasn't done shit in the last month because he doesn't have a quarterback, and Brock Bowers hasn't done shit because he's been kind of injured, and Geno Smith has looked like shit. So I'm like, you're not getting these people on names alone. You have to have production. You're offering him 2 guys who are great Pro Bowl player names, but shitty players in 2025. So I'm like, that's just not how fantasy football works. With that being said, though, that's a bold choice on that spread, though. Good kudos to you, George. That's bold. I like it too, but I wasn't ballsy enough to take that. Next up, we have Washington with Jaden Daniels back, heading to the Los Angeles Chargers.
I'm taking Washington.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think I like Washington. I know Los Angeles, there's no home field advantage if you play in Los Angeles. We all know that. And there is also, Los Angeles looks beatable. As you saw last week, if Justin Herbert, if you get him a little rattled, he makes mistakes, they're a beatable team. Washington, I think, with Jaden Daniels back, I mean, assuming he's fully healthy, he was medically cleared, has just had 2 weeks off, so he is fresh as hell. They might have Terry McLaurin back. Washington needs to get back into their winning ways. I am taking the Commanders as well, George. So that's a good choice. I was thinking about that before you even said it. So we are on the same page there. Next up, Sunday Night Football on NBC. You have a Buffalo Bill whiteout, and I think
snow uniforms.
Yeah, it should look pretty cool. They're going to wear the all white. Everyone else in the crowd is going to wear white. I think Buffalo wins. I think this could be a very close game, though. I am curious. Buffalo last week looked like shit against New Orleans, and I kind of feel like they need to go out there and establish their dominance and remind everybody who they are. But Drake May and the Patriots have been playing really good offensively. So I'm taking Buffalo, but I'm staying away from the points on this one.
Yeah, I'm taking Buffalo, but New England and Vrabel, like we said, it's new coach, going to be a different system. Give Drake May a little bit of time. Let him, get into the new fold with the whole new setup. It's going to take a good half season to do this. So I think it's just going to be a matter of time. I think New England's going to get their wins later on.
Yeah, I can see that too. They got to kind of come to their own. Monday Night Football, we have Kansas City at Jacksonville. Jacksonville's 3-1. Kansas City is now 2-2. Kansas City looks like they came to life against Baltimore. They figured it out offensively. They got Xavier Worthy back. I tried to tell everybody, I said, when they get healthy wide receivers, it's game over. Their defense is already really fucking good. However, on the flip side, Jacksonville's defense is playing lights out. Do they keep it up? Is this a fluke? Is this real? Is this who they are? I'm not willing to admit that. Give me Kansas City and the rejuvenated Patrick Mahomes.
You were just hating on Jacksonville no matter what.
I need them to lose, George.
I know you do.
It's driving me fucking crazy.
I know it's driving you nuts. They're in.
The Browns fans are like, great, look at Jacksonville. They're 3-1. Then I look at their schedule and I'm like, it's about to get really fucking difficult. Yes. So we're going to see if they're pretenders or contenders really quickly.
And
I'm sticking with pretender.
I am not. I caught some good replay pieces. No, I think this is exactly Jacksonville's been building it, and it's just like, oh, everybody's been questioning Trevor Lawrence and ETN and going, oh, it's all washed up, it's done. It's like, no, they played against some tricky damn teams themselves, and it's like, okay, no, I'm actually going to go with Jacksonville on this.
That's bold. I don't trust their offense. I will say that even though we have their draft pick, I think the Browns won the trade just based on how Travis Henry's been playing. I said it before the draft. I said I'm not a huge Henry fan, or Hunter. I'm sorry. I wasn't a huge fan. I thought he was a good wide receiver and a good cornerback. He wasn't great at either. He was a jack of all trades, master of none. And sure enough, I mean, he's got like not even 100 total yards on the season at wide receiver. I don't know what he did. They didn't say, but he was disciplined in the second half of the game last week, and they didn't let him play any defensive snaps. So there's something going on behind the scenes. Again, it's early, but it looks like the Browns won that trade just by not taking Hunter, and I'm okay with that. However, I do need them to keep losing. So let's go Kansas City. I will be doing the fucking tomahawk chop or whatever on Monday because I need the Jacksonville to keep losing. So go Chiefs. Let's go, baby. Jacksonville for George, though. Last but not least, we have the Browns and the Vikings. I will do a quick recap or a breakdown of that once we get our picks in.
It just can't do.
I'm gonna kick myself I'm gonna kick myself for this pick, but give me the Browns, and I'm going to explain why I'm taking the Browns once I break it all down. But with that being said, I'm taking Cleveland.
The defense, Minnesota's defense is what bothers. And I mean, it's not. Wow. I don't. The over-under says it all. It's going to be a defensive battle.
Sure.
Both offenses are just garbage. But I just think Minnesota's is a little bit more put together. And I mean, this is a true coin flip. I don't care. But yeah, I think I'm still going to go with Minnesota. I
Okay,
think
that's totally fair.
a little bit stronger. Yeah, I'm not feeling it for Cleveland, especially having it. Minnesota stayed there. That's a big plus. When you stayed over.
No, I will say when I traveled to Germany, if you get there and you get on your sleep schedule right away, it's easy. I mean, I went there. You stay up, and then as soon as it's at their time, because I think that it's similar. I don't know if it's exact. It's 6 hours ahead in Germany. So when I landed in Germany, it was like noon Germany time. Cleveland time, it was 6 a.m. I slept a little bit on the plane, but I was still pretty fucking tired. So I had to drive 2-3 hours, whatever, from Frankfurt to my hotel in Hagen, and I went sightseeing. I stayed. The suggestion I was given was stay awake. Stay awake until 10, 11 o'clock at night in Germany and go to bed. You'll wake up at 6 a.m., 7 a.m. Monday morning. You'll be fine. That's exactly what I did. It was totally fine. My schedule was perfect. I was tired at the right time. Everything was great. When I got home, I was fucked up. I got home super late. I landed in Cleveland at like midnight. I had to go to Dallas for a layover, then to Cleveland. I landed at like 11 o'clock at night. So I got home, and my internal clock at that point, it was 5 a.m. I was dead tired. So I went to sleep. And then because my internal clock thought it was, noon, my body wanted to wake up super fucking early, and I'm up in the middle of the night and I couldn't sleep. It really threw me off for that week. I was super jet lagged. Home. There, though, super easy. Literally just show up, stay up till nighttime, go to bed, and you wake up the next day and you don't even notice there's a time difference. The only thing that really fucked me up was I would like text Tara, and I'm like, hey, what's up? And then I look at the time and I'm like, oh shit, it's 9 a.m. here. It's 3 a.m. in Cleveland. She's sleeping right now. And it's daylight, it's sunny, and everyone else is like, yeah, no, I'm still sleeping. So that's bizarre, but you get used to it pretty quickly. Now, to your points, George, I will combat with my thoughts as I'm coming neutral. Obviously, I watch a lot of football, both teams, any game I can see. Minnesota's defense can be scored on. You saw that last week with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers scored on them, no problem. The Browns defense, don't let the stats or the box score fool you. The Browns defense have shut down every offense they faced. I know they gave up 40 points to the Ravens and they gave up 34 to the Lions, but if you really look at it, there was a punt return for a touchdown against the Lions. There were 2 interceptions and fumbles from Joe Flacco that put them into scoring position right away. Same thing with the Ravens. Huge punt return, a fumble return for a touchdown. There are all these things that happened against the Browns defense that looks bad in the box score of, they gave up 40 points. The defense themselves gave up not even 20. The defense themselves against the Lions, I believe, gave up 17 points if you want to blame them for that. That's low in the NFL. So the Browns defense is legit. They force 3 and outs at a 68% ratio. The next best team is like 62%. And that team, they're closer to the 27th ranked team than the Browns are from 1 to 2. That's how big of a gap that is. With that being said, their offensive line is in shambles in Minnesota. They have another guy that's hurt. They're on their backup running back. Carson Wentz looked like a bum last week. He is a guy that gets a little panicked under pressure. I think he got sacked 6 or 8 times against the Steelers, and the Steelers' defensive line is nowhere near as good as the Browns' defensive line. So that right there is why I agree with that low total. I think the Browns are going to really get to Carson Wentz a ton. I think if they can create a couple turnovers, get themselves into good position and just not turn the ball over, if Dylan Gabriel just plays smart football, which I think the Browns will have a good game plan. Brian Flores is a great defensive coach. Don't get me wrong. He is going to throw crazy looks at Dylan Gabriel. I think this becomes a battle of mentality. It's which quarterback makes the least amount of mistakes. I think Dylan Gabriel is going to be very fired up for his first start. I think the players are going to rally around him. I think you'll see guys that were making drops, and I'm not saying anything against Joe Flacco, but I think you'll see guys that had some drops in the beginning are going to make a couple more plays. They're going to fight for that extra yard or two. They're going to be a little rejuvenated for this 1 week. I'm not saying it carries on for the season, but I think for this one game, you have a rejuvenated Browns team. And I think this is your opportunity to strike. This was a game that most people would have said is a loss on the calendar until leading up to it. And I've seen enough holes in their defense, and I've seen enough greatness out of the Browns defense to make me think that it's going to be a very tough game, but it's just who makes the least amount of mistakes. And I think Carson Wentz is known for being a turnover guy. If Dylan Gabriel can just be smart with the football, we control the rock, run the ball a ton, control the clock. Browns can come away with a victory. I'm not saying it's going to be easy or pretty. Browns can come away with a victory. Gun to my head, give me Let's go 20 to give me 20 to 13. Browns win.
Ooh. Wow, that is some serious. I wasn't even thinking. I was thinking like more like 17-14 field goal wins it.
I was kind of in the same ballpark, but I was like, you know what? I don't want to give like a weird random number. I was thinking like 18 to 14 or something like that. And I was like, it's easier. I'll just go to a round number. Give me 20. So yeah, give me 20 to 13. I think the Browns win this one. Again, I'm strictly going off of how good their defense is. Offensively, it's a mystery, but I do think Dillon Gabriel, in my opinion, is the first quarterback that Kevin Stefanski has hand-selected as a rookie. I know they were all in for Deshaun Watson, but I also think that was also heavily influenced by Paul DePodesta. I full tinfoil hat conspiracy theory right now. I have gone into this season after this draft class, and I said it before the season even started, and I don't know. I have no sources. I have no information. I said to people, there's something weird about this draft. I feel like this was the first time ever Andrew Berry made every selection himself with no influence from Paul DePodesta. I think our previous drafts were garbage for the most part because Paul DePodesta was kind of helping, quote unquote. I feel like this draft class was way different. They did some things that's not a normal thing for the Browns draft. They took some players that I looked at and said, no, that doesn't fit. That's not who they normally take. They did a lot of different things. And to me, that makes me think Andrew Berry had his first say. And Dillon Gabriel, again, was a hand-selected player that Kevin Stefanski, who I think is a fantastic coach, Kevin Stefanski loves this kid. I think he's going to have him in the right position. And again, Dillon Gabriel is a smart player. Will he have some hiccups on Sunday? For sure. Do I think he's going to make huge mistakes and turnovers and et cetera, et cetera? Look at that. We got a Dillon Gabriel fan right there. QB1. Couldn't be more true.
And it's a 1-of-1 card on.
Was it really? I can't see that.
Yeah, it's right there in the corner. It's a
No shit.
1-of-1 right in the corner there. So I'm like, yes, please. Because
he's a good quarterback. The other thing, too, I got into a little discussion with a guy who was just trying to shit on him, who's a Shador fan, and he goes, well, Dillon Gabriel's small and he struggles against the pressure. So I Googled it. I like to learn. When I get into an argument with somebody, I do the research. That's why it's not fun to argue against me if you're somebody out there that likes to do internet arguing. I know Kyle last week was telling me not to argue with his buddies on social media. Speaking of the devil, Kyle just texted me all of his picks. I'll get those in later because we're wrapping up. But he did get them to me, so we're all good. But Kyle was like, it's not worth it. Don't argue with people, blah, blah, blah. For me, again, I don't argue as much as I educate. So I had a guy who said, Dillon Gabriel's small and he's bad against the pressure. I said, okay, let me see if that's accurate. So I Google Dillon Gabriel versus the blitz at Oregon. And there was a guy who did all the work for me. He posted all the stats. It said Dillon Gabriel against the blitz, 72.5% completion percentage, pretty good. 1,286 yards, pretty good. 15 touchdowns, 1 interception. That's Dillon Gabriel against the blitz at Oregon. Okay. So you're going to tell me that he struggles against the blitz? I beg to differ. Will that translate in the NFL? Totally different game, totally different animal. I am the first to admit that. I get it. But to use that as an argument, where are you getting that from? So, again, first career start, 3rd round pick, should struggle. This could be a very ugly game. Don't make mistakes. Don't turn the ball over. Don't put your team in a bad position. I don't think Dillon Gabriel will do any of those things. So that's why I think the Browns might be able to pull this one off. Could be a little closer even than that. Obviously, the Browns could lose this one. I'm not that confident in my pick. I am looking at it from a defensive perspective, and I think if it's a battle of the defense, who's going to make the most mistakes on offense, I'll take Carson Wentz and that super fucked up offensive line because there's a chance Cam Robinson's starting at left tackle and Jack Conklin's starting at right tackle. And then you have a pretty healthy offensive line in Cleveland. Minnesota can't say the same. Minnesota's without Aaron Jones. Minnesota's without J.J. McCarthy. I like the Browns' odds. I just do. Defensively, yes, Minnesota's really good, so they could easily swing this game. Special teams. Browns' special teams is trash. That could flip my whole fucking prediction on its head if the Browns' special teams goes out there and does what they typically do, which is give up a huge return or fumble the ball or do something stupid. If they don't do those things, play mistake-free football, Browns should win this game. So that is my take on the Browns-Vikings this Sunday in jolly old England at 9:30 a.m. where you get up and eat your beans and toast and your bangers and mash and all that cool shit that everybody does. So So with that being said, it is time for Taylor to bend over and get just the tip. I hope we never have to have the Kelseys on this show because I feel like this picture from George is going to get them to go, no. Do I think that would ever happen? Also, no. But if they ever tell us no, and that's why, blame George. My pick this week.
I'll take it all day.
My pick for just the tip this week is a movie that's been out for a while, but I just recently watched it with the wife. Thunderbolts, the new Avengers Marvel movie. Pretty cool movie. I had wanted to see it for a while. I had forgotten about it, to be honest. And then it was on Disney Plus, and same thing. I saw it was there, and I was like, cool, we'll watch that. Forgot about it. Finally, one Saturday night, I'm a cinephile, as they say, a cinephile, whatever. I watch a ton of movies. I love movies, any genre. My wife and I love horror, obviously, but I'll watch action. I'll watch drama. I'll watch anything. I love movies. So what I like to do is I take about 3 to 4 movies. I go A, B, C, D. I think in my head, here's the movies that they are. And I ask my wife, pick A, B, C, D. And whatever she says, we watch that movie. So Thunderbolts was the winner for Saturday night last week. Friday night, we watched Thunderbolts. And it was good. I really liked it. It was cool. It was a different take on Marvel. Marvel gets a little boring at times. This one's same thing. You have a group of people that are trying to unite and work together against a guy who's stronger than all of them, and they have to come together and figure out a way to stop it. It's classic superhero shit. There's nothing new in that department, but they put a different twist on it. It was a fun little thing. Some of the outcasts, if you will, really good. Great actors in the movie. You had Wyatt Russell. You've got David Harbour from Stranger Things. You've got I forgot the kid's name. He's a nepo baby. He is the son of a different actor. I forgot who. Fuck, I can't remember his name. I just looked it all up. But a lot of people in Julia Louis-Dreyfus is in this from Seinfeld, Elaine from Seinfeld. So a lot of good people. Florence Pugh, I think, plays the main woman there in the front. And you've obviously got, I forgot, Sebastian Stan plays Bucky. And just a good cast. One thing I will say is apparently I was supposed to watch the newest Captain America movie before I saw this, and I didn't know that, and I didn't do that until it was too late. So, whatever.
Or the Black Widow movie.
I saw the Black Widow. I've seen the Black Widow.
Okay.
Yeah, the only one I skipped, I didn't see yet, was the latest Captain America, and that's more so just because I forgot about it. And we started this movie, and it was starting, and I'm like, Wyatt Russell has the Captain America shield. What the hell's happening? And I Google it really quick, and I go, in what order should I watch Marvel movies? And I scroll down to the bottom, and it goes Captain America, whatever the last one was, and then Thunderbolts. And I looked at Tara, and I went, well, we're already about 40 minutes into this one, so we're not turning it off. But apparently we should have watched Captain America first. So we'll catch it. But
right.
For those of you at home, if you want to watch Thunderbolts, I suggest checking that one out first, because apparently it helps. So that is my Just the Tip for the week. We are done. We ended up going way longer than I was anticipating, but that's just how it goes with me. I can talk and talk and talk till I am blue in the face. And I am going to get off of here. I'm going to go shower, and I'm going to watch The Floor because the new season started last week. So George and I will be talking about that for sure over the next day or two. And for everybody else, we'll talk to you next week. Thank you, George, for filling in and helping out. Kyle, again, give your best wishes, everybody out there, for the loss of Ace. And, it sucks to lose a pet. So thinking of you guys, Kyle and Jess, sorry for your loss. And that's it. Everybody, I will talk to you guys next week, hopefully to do a buzzball with all of you after a Browns victory. We shall see. Get them ready. Get them cold, just in case. Cleveland, that was for you.